What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 10 rupees chapter 125 5 elders so angry that blood pressure soared, Knights of God. Marijoy. The World Summit is about to be held, and 5 elders is making the final arrangements to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Sudden. There was a knock on the outside door. The captain of the guard hurried in through the door. No, it's not good, he looked eager. What's wrong? Asked the bald 5 elders. The captain of the guard swallowed and said, Lie, Leno, here we go again. What? Brush. The 5 elders stood up together, staring at him. Why is he here? It's really him. What is he doing again? The captain of the guard said, Dragon Palace Kingdom hired Leno as the escort. What? Why didn't you report this matter? The blonde 5 elders frowned. What about Guion Vice Admiral? Dragon Palace Kingdom didn't report either. The curly-haired 5 elders shook his head and said, We can't blame them, they don't know about Leno's situation. And we allow each franchise representative to bring 1 or 2 guards, and there is no need to report in advance. Dragon Palace Kingdom did not report it, and it is also in the regulations. It can only be said that it is us who made a mistake. 5 elders with a long beard said calmly, It's too late to say this now, we must first figure out what Leno is here for. The bald 5 elders gritted his teeth. His impression of Leno was extremely deep, and the shame of the knife is still unforgettable. Let, Knights of God, go out, he proposed. Knights of the Gods is one of the strongest combat forces hidden by the world government. The group is directly under the leadership of IM, an organization that can judge celestial dragons. During the 800 years of turmoil in the world government, the time when the 3 kings can gather has appeared several times. Every time, are perfectly resolved, the most dangerous time. It was the Knights of God who dispatched and solved all the troubles. It can be said, they are the elite class of celestial dragons, and their status is enough to exist side by side with Uranus 5 elders. 01. It is an organization capable of judging celestial dragons and resolving disputes within celestial dragons. If the Knights of the Gods is dispatched and combined with Uranus, all enemies can be completely suppressed. Conduct a sweep of the entire pirate world. This is one of the foundations of world government. The Knights of God, the other 4-5 elders looked at each other. The curly-haired 5 elders shook his head and said, It's not that far yet. Okay. Yeah. Those guys have lived too long, and their tempers are not very good, if you wake them up. Call the World Summit right now. If you fight with Leno, it will only make the world laugh. The remaining 3-5 elders expressed their opinions and rejected the bald head's proposal. The bald 5 elders are slightly calmer. He realized that if the Knights of God were involved in this matter, wouldn't it be the 5 elders' incompetence? Furthermore, those people only obey the orders of Lord IM and will not move out easily. They didn't show up the last time Leno broke in. If they make a move, there was absolutely no way Leno could leave alive. Then what should we do? Curly-haired 5 elders said. Well, depending on the situation, Leno is not that kind of brat. The last time he came, he must have noticed something, so he left quickly and didn't stay too much. He came this time, maybe he is really just protecting the people of the Dragon Palace Kingdom, so be wary of us. Makes sense. Then, let's meet him again. 5 elders came to the outside of Pangu City together. Then, just saw St. Charles Rose, rolled off the slave's back, and worshipped in front of Leno. Shock. Not to mention representatives from various countries, Guion, Princess Odahime and others. Even the 5 elders, seeing this scene, were all dumbfounded, their minds were in a daze, and their pictures went blank. St. Charles Rose, tender in the gods and demons? 5 elders' blood pressure soared, his face flushed, his eyes widened, his breathing was short of breath, and he felt like he was about to faint. The dignified celestial dragons actually knelt down in public, in front of the king of a franchise country of the world government. This Nima, 5 elders was vomiting blood with rage. They knew some celestial dragons in the Holy Land, passed Leno as a compatriot, and produced some conclusive evidence. 5 elders thought they were just joking, to save face and dignity. In addition, the 5 elders also had doubts, so they did not refute the rumors and gave those celestial dragons a psychological comfort. Who would have thought? Is St. Charles Rose really an idiot enough to kneel to Leno? Together the 5 elders covered their faces and eyes. Really shameless. No way. Most of the celestial dragons are already rotten, and many of them are empty-headed, like idiots. St. Charles Rose is even more retarded. The pain of the broken leg made him, who had never been injured before, still fresh in his memory. Then I heard that Leno is one of his own. It is also very likely that they are members of the family that disappeared in the Canyon of Gods. People around me still say so. In his heart, instinct had a kind of fear for Leno. Celestial dragons are people too. They also fear, dread, etc. Even these emotions are stronger than ordinary people. It's just that it's usually others who are afraid of him that makes him seem fearless. Now that there is a person who is not afraid of them at all and can beat them, they will naturally be afraid. People who play with fire will feel awe of fire once they have been burned once. Quick, go stop him and take him away, the bald 5 elders smoked from their heads. Don't embarrass him here. Yes, what should we do now? 5 elders had bulging veins on his forehead, and his forehead was in great pain. The curly-haired 5 elders rubbed their temples to ease their blood pressure. What should I do? Go back first. What kind of posture should we take to face Leno in the past now? It will make the incident more difficult to control. What about the explanation? This matter must be explained to the kings, otherwise it will be very troublesome. Explain. Let's just say, St. Charles is mistaking Leno for another celestial dragons. Well, that's the only way to do it. 5 elders returned to Pangu City. Their identities are sensitive, so it's not suitable to appear at this time. If Leno wants to make trouble, they can't stand it at all. Charles Rose Street made a big one. Hold them, fall into passivity. St. Charles Rose and his party were quickly taken away. Those people left the scene in a hurry after saying, Lord Charles Rose, you are too drunk. But anyone with a discerning eye could tell that St. Charles didn't drink too much at all. Its impact is quite huge. Why? Lucas was stunned. Wapple was dumbfounded. Crazy, celestial dragons kneel. Many king emoticons. QAQ. Just now, what did they see? Dreaming. Must be dreaming. Absolute. Princess Gion and Princess Odahime also opened their mouths wide in shock, forming an O shape. Outside Pangu City, a group of kneeling people looked at the only man standing. It seemed that these people were bowing down to him. Leno was speechless, and said, the celestial dragons are gone. Why are you still kneeling? You are really servile. Servility? Leno's words made Gion blush and feel ashamed and humiliated in his heart. She actually didn't want to kneel. But the celestial dragons ruled the world for 800 years, and the majesty under the backlog made her dare not resist. She also has no sense of resistance. After all, Marine is still under the rule of the world government, and people like her will inevitably be indoctrinated with the idea of obedience. Princess Odahime was a little dizzy. Her admiration for Leno in her heart was like the water of a torrential sea, surging endlessly. Ms. Leno is amazing. Her face was hot. After Leno and Princess Odahime, escorted by Marijois's staff, walked into the rest area. People outside dared to get up. Guillaume stared at Leno's disappearing back, feeling uneasy. Who is Leno? Marine was only responsible for picking up the franchise in Marijoi's perimeter defense, so she didn't follow in. Leno, and his clothes and badge, is he the leader of the East Blue Hunter? A king asked in a low voice. Probably so. I heard that he has a very close relationship with Princess Odahime of the Murloc race. Then why? All the kings were in doubt, but did not dare to speculate randomly. Soon, as the news spread, the entire rest area exploded. Kneel? Cobra was surprised. Celestial dragons kneeling? Princess Vivi was curious. Okay. Lucas took a sip of wine to subdue his shock, exhaled, and said, it's incredible. Cobra frowned. Their family is above the 20 kings who overthrew the huge kingdom. There is also a chance to become celestial dragons. Finally gave up and went back to Alabasta, but no matter how they have this relationship, their status in Marijoy is still higher than other kings. Of course, there are strong and weak families among the 20 royal families. But even if Leno is the strong clan in the Celestial Dragons, it wouldn't make the weak clan kneel down in fear, right? As the same king, who would kneel down to other kings? Something happened in Marijoy, still is, Cobra couldn't figure it out. The kings in the rest area also looked dumbfounded. Although 5 elders quickly clarified that Charles Rose Saint had prosopagnosia and had misidentified the wrong person, but the suspicion remained. Because the 5 elders didn't say they were going to punish Leno. He was still alive and kicking. It's weird and totally out of Celestial Dragon style. The central location of Marijoy is Pangu City. Celestial dragons live in the towns around Pangu City, known as the Land of the Gods. 3 years ago, the area damaged by Leno has long since been restored. But, the influence he left on Marijoy has not been completely eliminated. Have you heard? Charles Rose actually kneeled down today? That fat pig. What a fool, the Roswald family is almost finished. Do you know who he knelt down to? Which family? No, not Celestial Dragons. What? That idiot, really embarrassing as Celestial Dragons, he should be directly delisted and thrown out of the Holy Land. Who is he kneeling on? Remember what happened 3 years ago? Huh? Of course I remember, could it be that person? I heard that he is a survivor of the Canyon of Gods? Who knows? The Celestial Dragons discuss among themselves. No one said Leno's name, but that person, instead, but everyone knew who he was. In a weird atmosphere, See Circle Calendar World Summit 1514 begins. Because of Leno's unexpected visit, the topic of Hunters Guild, scheduled by 5 elders, was cancelled. The re-election of various organs of the world government and discussions related to the Revolutionary Army became the main content of this meeting. World Summit Newsletter. Former Marine Marshal Kong Kong has been promoted to be the Chief Marshal of the Armed Forces. Marine New Admiral confirmed. Akainu Sakazuki, Kazaru Paluzalino, Momosagi Gion. World Summit passed with 90% of the votes, identifying the Revolutionary Army as a dangerous organization. 4 days after the World Summit was held, all kinds of news quickly spread to Four Seas, Paradise, and New World. This transition of world government and marine. A group of old people began to retire, Kong Kong, Zephyr. New faces on the stage of history. A new chapter of the era has opened. Leno is one of the witnesses. In this World Summit, except for being kowtowed by celestial dragons, he behaved quite low-key. The kings of the joining countries were not too close and kept a proper distance. Charlos kneeling was full of shock. Everyone can't fix it for him. Princess Othime is very popular. Her observation Haki makes her relatable. Plus, she gets shelter from Leno. The kings of various countries are afraid of the world government and dare not contact Leno, so they put their enthusiasm on her. Leno was happy to be at leisure, wandering around in the rest area, seemingly doing nothing, but he was looking for information. His observation Haki is not enough to listen to everything, but it is enough to listen to all kinds of voices. Uranus. The Knights of the Gods, Future Island Project. Kingdom on the Bridge Project. Leno heard a lot. He has been to Raftel, and he has an understanding of the blank 100 years, and of course, he also left something there. Day 5 of World Summit, at the exchange meeting of the kings of various countries. After hearing Wapol tell everyone that he used the plan of killing doctors to keep the Revolutionary Army away. Cobra reprimanded Wapol in public, leaving him with a grudge. After the meeting, "Are you Cobra's daughter?" Leno looked over. The fat Wapol slapped the little girl, then pretended to be careless and smiled. However, Vivi apologized to Carpenter Ball in order to avoid causing national conflicts. Wapol laughed with satisfaction at his prank. "Hello, Wapol." When Wapol heard someone calling his name, he had an angry expression. When he turned his head and saw that it was Leno, he saw a pile of doctors. "Master Leno, did you call me?" Wapol is a typical bully. He didn't dare to face Cobra, so he came to bully his daughter, was afraid of celestial dragons, and bullied the people of Baobaili. Facing Leno, he certainly didn't dare to make mistakes. Leno nodded to him with a smile and said, "You are very valuable." Okay. The Fruit of Wapol, very valuable. Chapter 126 Straw Hat Crew, Gathering of Changing Destiny, Ace Goes to Sea. 7 short days. Sea Circle Calendar 1514's World Summit ends. Marines escort, except for Wapol, the Barrel King of Drum Island. The kings of the allied countries returned to their own countries smoothly and conveyed the content of the meeting to the people. On the way back, Wapol encountered a storm and accidentally fell into the sea. Message back. After being astonished, the people of Iron Barrel Kingdom ran to the snow to cheer. Very good. The tyrant is dead. Our doctor can come back. Without Wapol, his army garrisoning the castle could not withstand the tide of the people. The people overthrew Wapol's rule. They elected Dalton as the new king. Dalton was imprisoned by Wapol because he opposed the plan of killing doctors. He always cared about the people and was loved. Dalton became the new king, lifted the decree of killing doctors, and changed the country's name to Sakura Flower Kingdom. Wapol's death puts the world government in a bad name for escorts. 5 elders to defuse the impact declared that Sakura Flower Kingdom is legal, replacing Iron Barrel Kingdom, and becoming a member of the world government. And exempt Sakura Flower Kingdom, this year's heavenly gold. When the people of Magnetic Drum Island were immersed in the sudden joy, people from all over the world were completely blown away. As for the reason, it is naturally open black lens bracket heavenly gold close black lens bracket. The end town of Goa Kingdom, Barry's Tavern. The civilians gathered here to vent their grievances. What, you want to increase the gold in the sky? Damn it. Why? Yes. The gold in the sky is increasing year by year, but the pirates and the Revolutionary Army are not decreasing, but are getting more and more. Blame it, blame Roger. Yeah, blame Roger. If it wasn't for him, how could there be the era of great pirates? Hey, you guys. Suddenly, a teenager stood up, kicked over the table, clenched his fists with both hands, and glared angrily. Brother, what do you want to say? Everyone was surprised. Who? Ace panted heavily, glared at them, and said, "Don't mention that name." What? Gold Roger. The drinkers jeered loudly. Hey, you guys, Roger is the Pirate King, the freest man on the sea. Luffy clenched his fists and shouted because of the sound. What? One Piece. So what, if it wasn't for him, how could we pay so much gold? Pirates, they are all rubbish. Luffy gritted his teeth, swung his arms, and was about to make a move. Luffy. Ace stopped Luffy, put his hands on his shoulders, and said, "Forget it." When the two left, the tavern burst into laughter. Hey, Ace, why, I can blow them away. Luffy was furious. Those guys, really, are blaming people who have nothing to do with what they're suffering. Ace didn't talk to him, he was not very interested, kicked up a stone and flew out. Snapped. The stone that flew out was caught by a palm. Ace looked up. It was a middle-aged man with a rosacea, leading a child with a pacifier in his mouth. Ace recognized him. He's the boss of N-Town, Barry. Hey, kid, don't kick and lose your temper indiscriminately, it will hurt others, Barry persuaded. Hey, uncle, I'm sorry, Luffy hastily apologized. Ace also apologized. Seeing their apology, Barry didn't go into it and said, are you the two little devils from Dayton's family? Ace and Luffy often hang out in Mount Corpo and Duan Town. They're very powerful and have already gained some fame. Uncle, you know Dayton? Luffy was curious. Barry nodded and said, yes. He looked at Ace and Luffy and suddenly asked, are you interested in going to hunter school? Huh? School? Luffy's face slumped, his mouth pursed to one side. What is that? Barry said, it was made by the Hunters Guild, a place where children like you can learn. I happen to have 2 recommended places in my hand, do you want to go? Luffy scratched his head. Don't go, study or something, it's too annoying. He hates reading and studying the most. Where is the freedom of the sea? Ace was vigilant and said, why are you looking for us? Barry smiled. I've heard about you, and it seems that among the people of the same age nearby, no one can beat you. Upon hearing his praise, Luffy proudly said, my lord can't do it either, Ace and I are very good. Ace is not as innocent as Luffy, with a slightly cold face. Seeing him like this, Barry had no choice but to explain. I recommend you to the hunter school, if you perform well, my face will also be radiant. Have you heard of the license hierarchy of the Hunters Guild? What is that? Luffy blinked. Ace said, I've heard of it. Barry said, in addition to the hunters who passed the assessment, there are also some logistics personnel like me who serve the Hunter Guild. If we can recommend or send hunters to the guild, we will get rewards, including Bailey points. Luffy wondered. Points? Barry said. A special value within the Hunters Guild to measure value? It sounds so troublesome. I don't want to be a hunter. Lu Chi gave a thumbs up, pointed at himself, and said, I'm Luffy, and I'm the man who will become One Piece. One Piece? Barry couldn't help laughing out loud. See Circle Calendar September 15-14, the opening of the 4th Hunter Assessment. The Hunter School, which has been prepared for a long time, also started at the same time, with a total of 200 students in the first batch of 5 classes. They come from East Blue, South Blue, Paradise, New World, basically from hunters or related families. The school is located in the forest area of Elegia. The school held a celebration for the first term opening. People come and go, and it is very lively. Zoro, this guy, where did he go again, won't he get lost? Sokka, Nami, and Nuo Kagao are looking for Zoro. Hey, Nami, no Kagao. I heard someone calling myself. Nami and Nuo Kagao turned their heads and saw that it was Uda, waved their hands happily, ran over, and said with a smile, Yingda. The other side. Zoro, who has grown up a bit, has 3 knives pinned to his waist, and holds his hands behind his head, looking around. Damn, Sokka, Nami, Nuo Kagao, those 3 guys, why are they missing? Have they settled down? Zoro, who was looking around, didn't pay attention to the front and hit someone. Sanji staggered a bit. He almost fell down, but when he looked back, he saw a green-haired man, who was sloppy and not pleasing to the eye. Sanji is already very upset that Jeppu has to come to school by himself, and is in a rage. Seeing Zoro again, he got angry and cursed. Hey, you green algae head, don't you look at the road when you walk? What? Zoro stared, and said, green algae head, who are you talking about, curly eyebrows? Sanji stared back. Tell me about you, chlorella head. Curly eyebrows. Do you want to be chopped off? The two stared at each other. Nami's voice sounded. Hey, Zoro, Sanji, your things have been stolen. What? Zoro and Sanji looked at Nami together, looked at each other again, and pointed at each other. You guys know each other? The two spoke in unison. 2 idiots. Nami ran past them, left a word, and chased after a girl with light blue hair. Nuo Kagao, Uda, and Sokka ran over. Miss Nuo Kagao, Miss Uda. Sanji had love in his eyes. Hey, do you know him? Zoro was surprised. When Nuo Kagao and Nami went to the dojo, they stopped at the Barati restaurant and met Sanji at that time. Sokka said, leave that aside, your wallets have been stolen. What? Zoro and Sanji touched their pockets at the same time, they were empty, and turned their heads to look in the direction Nami was chasing after. After training in the dojo, Nami is very flexible. Cats are generally jumpy and light, she will catch up with the girls soon. The girl suddenly threw out her wallet and flew towards Nami. When Nami grabbed the wallet, the other party had already squeezed into the crowd and disappeared. Nami, how are you? Nuo Kagao and the others came over and looked at the wallet in Nami's small hand. Nami opens. Empty, hateful. Sanji scratched his head. The savings he had saved with great difficulty were gone. It's all your fault, green algae head, huh? You are obviously to blame, Zoro replied. In the crowd. The girl Karina touched her thick pocket and smiled. Women have to rely on wisdom to survive, hee. Caught you. A hand rests on her shoulder. Karina was startled, turned her head suddenly, and wanted to fight back, but was caught by the whip and tied into a dumpling. Khalifa picked up the girl and walked to the office area. 3 years ago, Lu Chi, Kaku, and Khalifa successfully entered the Hunters Guild to perform long-term latent missions. Currently, Lu Chi transferred to New World Kale Bali. Kaku is at South Blue. She joined the logistics team and was selected into the Hunter School because of her outstanding work and was responsible for discipline. On the surface of the sea, Mitatsumi sleeps with his huge head floating on the surface of the sea, and a bubble is still spitting out of his nose. Ships pass by. Pedro and Giebo escorted Luo, Shachi, Peijin and Bibo all the way from North Blue to East Blue. A few months ago, Pedro, who had heard about Bebo, went to North Blue to find him and fell in love. At the same time, they also brought Leno's admission letter. Wow, what a big head, is he a titan? Peijin exclaimed excitedly. He seems to be a murloc, Pedro said. I heard that he is the patron saint of the sea area of Elegia. See you in Mianjin, Giebo said. Huh? How do you know? Giebo scratched his head and said, I've read the newspaper of the Hunters Guild, and there are introductions on it. Yes. Beppo. When Peijin and Shachi were excited? Luo held his knife and looked at the island in the distance. He was a little apprehensive. Hope, everything goes well. They will study at Hunter School for 4 years, office. Leno flipped through the brand new textbooks. He returned from Saboti Archipelago not long after he finished World Summit, which shows how much he attaches importance to Hunter School. Language, mathematics, sports, geography, 4th grade compulsory courses. World, culture, science, 3rd grade elective courses. The contents of these textbooks are divided into 4 grades, from shallow to deep, all written by Leno. Crow felt incredible. In East Blue, even nobles do not value knowledge and education as much as Leno. Crow, do you know what the most powerful force in the world is? Leno asked. Crow pushed his glasses slightly, looked at Leno, and said, Isn't it you? Leno smiled and said, No, he thought of Pangu City. Everyone kneels down to a celestial dragon's trash. Is Charles Rose Saint strong? Weak chicken, but he can make the king kneel, let Admiral kneel. The servile thinking that penetrates into the hearts of the people is really scary. One day, if I go to war with the celestial dragons, will people in the Hunters Guild kneel directly to the celestial dragons? Meeting. There must be. Leno believes that when he publicly stands against the celestial dragons, a large number of people will succumb to slavishness. There will also be a group of people who will weaken and become neutral. Physical arts? Kendo? Weapons? Devil fruit? Those are just external smells? These need internal support. Leno speaks loudly. Thought. Ideas are the most powerful and awesome forces in the world. Life will die, including you and me, but ideas will not. Roger said that he will not die, that's right, the era of great pirates he started, his will is still alive. Not only Roger, the past, D.S. will, but certain beings, somehow alive. Live in the human mind. Where do ideas come from? Knowledge. This is a batch of seeds. Sowing them down, even if there is only one tree, it will be a surprise to grow vigorously. See Circle Calendar March 1515, after 6 months of assessment. The 4th batch of hunters officially joined the Hunter Guild. There are 50,000 official hunters registered in the Hunter Guild archives. See Circle Calendar in April 1515, the North Blue branch of the Hunters Guild, West Blue, Code Good, was established. Current month. Leno announced to the outside world that the Hunter Conference will be held in 1516, and the local branches will elect seats in advance. In a blink of an eye, see Circle Calendar in 1517, last year's Hunter Conference was successfully held and the first vote of confidence was held. At the meeting, the organizational structure of the Hunters Guild was improved, and 12 people were awarded the title of S-Class Hunter according to regulations. They are Crow, Luwell, Kuina, Buggy, Kuzan, Hancock, Issei, Odahime, and Jeppu, Uta, Luchi, Belmel. The Hunters Guild recognized that they had made outstanding contributions in their respective fields. In the past few years, with the establishment of a new pattern, the world situation tends to be stable. Whether it's Marine, 4 Emperors, World Government, or the Hunters Guild, each is developing itself. Hardly any big news. East Blue, Kingdom of Goa. On the coast of Mount Kolpo, Makino and Dayton's family get together to bid farewell to the boy who is about to sail. The 17-year-old has black hair and wears an orange cowboy hat. There are 2 badges of Smile and Sad on the brim of the hat, and a skull plate is also tied. He untied the cable and jumped into the small wooden boat. Be safe, Ace, on the shore, Luffy in a straw hat shouted. Ace lifted Madara's face with tits, and held down the hat with his right hand to prevent it from being blown away by the sea wind. Goodbye, Luffy. Get stronger. Luffy on the shore has a lot of scrapes on his body. He wiped his nose with his fingers, and said unconvinced, When I go to sea in 3 years, I will become stronger. Ah ha ha. Ace pulled up the sail and sailed into the sea with the sea wind. Luffy, Makino and Dayton's family on the shore waved goodbye. Ace. Boat. Luffy yells at Ace, who took a small boat, set off from Dawn Island with full of expectations for the sea. Chapter 127 Ace's Ambition. weapons, the undercurrent of the world arms race. The sky is clear and the sea breeze is warm. Seabirds fly by. Drag out a beautiful arc. It has been half a day since I left Dawn Island. Ace's excitement has not subsided yet. He stepped on the bow of the boat. Finally, out to sea. One Piece? Roger. Ace stared ahead, clenched his fists. No, I'm going to overtake Roger. In his eyes, flames were burning. It was the anger hidden in my heart. Ace is eager to prove himself. Burn Roger. The shadow left on himself. There is a darkness in Ace's heart, and the hatred for the man he has never met twists and resists. And the ugly past that I don't even want to recall. Mother's death. Encountered man, curse on Roger. Everything turned into a huge shadow, covering him and tormenting him. Reputation. Only by gaining a reputation enough to surpass One Piece. Enough to change the reputation of the times. Only in the darkness of the heart can a hole with sunshine be burned. There is only one world where you can survive. Ace thinks so. He's ready to do it too. He breathed a sigh of relief, sat back on the boat, picked up the bread in the cloth pocket, and then turned out the chart in the bag. Ace has been preparing to go to sea since he was a child, and he slowly collected nautical charts, compasses and other items. And, his first goal at sea, the island of acrobatics. It is about a 2-day flight from Dawn Island. Not long after the Hunters Guild was founded, the blood-colored black dragon flag was flying, and it was its important stronghold. That's right, Ace goals. It is the most powerful force entrenched in East Blue. Hunters Guild. It's so famous. People who are famous in Lianfengshi Town, Dayton's family, and Duan Town all know its existence and are familiar with it. Outside Makino's bar, there is still a board dedicated to the Hunters Guild's newspaper. Luffy said that at the Hunter Conference last year, Makino was invited to Elegia as a guest. But Luffy didn't like the Hunter Guild, and kept clamoring that he wanted to seek revenge from Yinuo. Because Leno hit Shanks with a bottle once. Ace still clearly remembers that, 6 years ago, Imp Leno fought in front of him and Luffy. Today's Leno has been hailed as the strongest hunter in the world. He stands on top of the world. Compared with Roger, people think that if he wants to become the One Piece, it is a breeze. It's just that he didn't bother to do it, because I care about the name, Roger, in 150 characters. Ace is naturally concerned about Leno. Roger got more infamy. Leno gets more praise. But no matter what, it's enough to defeat him, right? By defeating him, I can surpass Roger the Pirate King. Ace bites the pie. Leno's reputation started when he defeated Marine Vice Admiral Kuzan. There is no doubt that as a rookie, if you want to become famous the fastest, of course you must challenge the already famous experts. Ace plans to attack the Hunters Guild and defeat the acrobatic hunters stationed on the island of acrobatics. He can definitely be famous. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, a strange trembling sound came from the sky, from far to near. Ace looked up subconsciously. He vaguely saw a black dot soaring into the sky. He narrowed his eyes so he could see better. What is that? Bird? Ace is strange. I vaguely saw a pair of bird wings, skimming into the clouds, followed the sound, and finally disappeared. Calm belt, for pirates, has always been synonymous with danger. But to Leno, it's not that dangerous, on the contrary. Sometimes, it can also serve as a shelter. Therefore, Leno has been exploring East Blue's calm belt since the Hunters Guild opened up the route. Inside the calm belt, there are islands, such as Daughter Island, Ruskina Island and so on. They are surrounded by giant sea kings, wild, primitive, never inhabited. But that doesn't mean they have no value. Some islands are either buried with ore, or rich in wood, or contain precious resources such as coal. Moreover, such islands hide secrets. After a detailed inspection, Leno placed his research and development base on one of the islands. With a buzzing sound, a biplane jet plane slowly landed on the hard and flat runway. Murloc Tom and other craftsmen gathered around to inspect the plane. Leno and pilot Frankie step out of the plane. Amazing, super, aircraft. Frankie was excited. Flying into the sky is everyone's dream. Today, he turned his dream into reality. President Leno, what do you think? Tom the Murloc's white beard looked even older. Okay. Leno nodded and said, very good, better than I imagined, and met my expectations. Leno glanced at Frankie who was holding the plane and couldn't put it down. A few years ago, through Buggy's luck, Leno got Tom the Murloc and arranged for him to build a boat here. 2 years ago, Ace Bagu established the Carrera Shipbuilding Company in the capital of Seven Waters. Frankie was hired by Leno after an accident to be responsible for the research and development of the aircraft project. Frankie's talent in mechanical manufacturing is beyond doubt. Leno just drew a sketch. Not long after, Frankie built a prototype and experienced 2 years and 3/4 generation innovations to reach the current level. The development of science and technology is inseparable from power, energy, materials and so on. But are these difficult to achieve with the black technology of One Piece world? Not difficult. Power, robots, pacifists, blazing angels, etc. The core technology they use is not simple. Energy, coke from the Thousand Sun, coal from Sky Island's jet steamer, even devil fruit. Material. Munch fruit. After eating, you can eat anything, become a part of the body, or synthesize new things. In the original plot, Wapol accidentally discovered Wapol alloy, which got the attention of the world government. His alloy is one of the materials used to make seraphim. So, Leno said Wapol was valuable, and then he disappeared. It is not difficult to build an airplane in One Piece world. The key is for someone to think about it, and make it practical. Are planes practical in One Piece? This is a question mark. It can be used for sure. Obtaining air supremacy is very important no matter which world it is. The world government has ruled for 800 years, and Uranus' air supremacy is the most deterrent. It ignores red line, comm belt restrictions. It can realize global and ultra-long distance strikes except New World. New World can't strike because the magnetic field is disordered and distorted, and Uranus can't achieve precise locking. The development of aircraft is one of the ways to gain air supremacy in Leno's cognition. But in the world of pirates, the plane is a little tasteless. First of all, the cost is not cheap. In this regard, Leno has nothing to do. Fortunately, he has got Wapol, so it is not difficult to control him. With Munch fruit, many material problems have been solved. Secondly, there are many strong players, and there is no lack of means to attack air. Not to mention a lifetime, being able to pull down meteorites, Jiannao's slashwave, Conqueror's impact, etc., are all troublesome. This requires the cooperation of combat personnel to contain and protect, just like Buster calls indiscriminate bombing. Finally, problems such as landing and replenishment of the aircraft need to be resolved. It needs a base. Leno has two visions, one is Sky Island. The other is to build nautical and aircraft carriers. The latter is too expensive. We can only transform the Ark, Noah, of the Fishmen Island first, and let the super-large Sea Kings act as the labor force to pull the boat. It sounds like a small horse-drawn train. Therefore, Sky Island Ho is also a little more realistic. Leno also has another idea, which is to capture Paramecia lion fruit. It's just that the golden lion has disappeared for many years without a trace. In the vast sea, it is still difficult to find someone. For the time being, it is difficult to use the aircraft. It can only be used in transportation, communication, and investigation. But now does not represent the future, Leno imagined. If you use the technology of pacifists and seraphim, applied in aircraft and aircraft carrier, is it Uranus, Pluton? The pirate world is different from other worlds. The bigger the brainhole, the bigger the prospect, and all kinds of fantasies can become reality. Coke can be used as power, snails can communicate, etc. Who would feel normal? Includes devil fruit development. When you think it has that power, it will naturally respond to you. Imagination is important. How about our steamship project? Leno asked. ADCF, asked Murloc Tom. The first batch of 10, the bottom has been fitted with seastone, said Tom. Leno nodded slightly. The purpose of development and or less human attrition, valuable talents, personnel. From the perspective of the development direction of the world government, technology is also highly valued. But unlike Leno, the purpose of world government is to maintain its own rule, not to benefit the world. On the island, there are not only the shipyards of the Hunters Guild, but also technology research centers, weapons manufacturing factories, etc. The Hunters Guild has strongholds all over the world, and secretly searched for a group of scientists, scholars, and researchers. We also collected materials related to the Emperor from West Blue, South Blue, and North Blue. Leno found that in West Blue and North Blue, fully automatic rifles, machine guns, rocket launchers and other weapons have appeared. But the weapons of West Blue and North Blue still use black powder as the propellant, and the bullets are still round lead bullets. It is more expensive, and its power is average. Therefore, the current mainstream in the world is the more mature flintlock gun, equipped with large caliber black powder bullets. Its power is similar to that of a shotgun at a short distance. If it is specially made, it will be even stronger. The research center of the Hunters Guild, at Leno's request, has developed smokeless gunpowder that is better than black powder. Dissolve nitrocellulose in ether and alcohol. Add an appropriate amount of stabilizer to it to form a jelly, which is pressed into sheets, cut into strips, and dried to harden. The appearance of smokeless gunpowder paved the way for the development of new ammunition. Now the rifle ammunition in the weapon factory has basically evolved from large caliber black powder lead ammunition to smaller caliber smokeless powder ammunition. It increases the range of the bullet, improving straightness and shooting accuracy. The emergence of pointed bullets also means that the gun body needs to be changed, and the barrel begins to describe the rifling. The weapon factory, the shooting range where the research department is located. A tester is firing a new gun. This is one a Kar 98K rifle equipped with a scope, with a curved charging handle, which is easy to carry and install a scope. It's styled, designed by Leno. Before Leno came to One Piece world, he was half a military enthusiast. Man, isn't that just a hobby? He designed some weapons in his memory, handed them over to the researchers, and then fine-tuned them. Boom! Under Leno's aiming, he easily and accurately hit the target 1,000 meters away. Pull the bolt up. It feels very good. To achieve this range, Leno didn't use any ability at all, but the gun itself possessed the performance. Shot through. The tester on the opposite side looked at the bullet hole and found that the wound had penetrated a layer of leather and passed through the wooden dummy. Compared with the world's popular flintlock guns, it has greatly improved its accuracy, muzzle velocity, range, and lethality. Boom. Another shot. In Leno's observation Haki, bullets pass by like a ray of light, stirring up a trace of death ripples. Quick. According to Leno's perception, the speed of the bullet has not been blessed by the armed color, but it is already elusive. The wars in the pirate world always give people a feeling that the guns are weak and have no big effect. But are firearms really low-end? Doesn't work on high-end battlefields? It's not true. The same flintlock. Can deterrence be the same in the hands of Roger, Beckman, and Usopp as in the hands of an ordinary person? Ordinary people with guns. Leno won't even look at it. Roger, Beckman has a gun, he has to put his hand up. If firearms are really useless to the strong, then Usopp, Ben Beckman, Yizang, Van Oka and other good snipers will not appear. Nor would Roger's weapon be a flintlock, to know. The firearms they use now are flintlock guns with black powder and lead bullets. At present, the muzzle velocity of most flintlock guns is about 270 meters per second. A specially modified flintlock gun can reach about 310 meters per second, which is not as good as a powerful crossbow. The muzzle velocity of the flintlock is low. People can predict the bullets after hearing the gunshots, so as to avoid them effectively. Major Marine, who has undergone physical training, can chop bullets with a knife. Not to mention knowledge and color perception. For ordinary people, it can only be used to deal with ordinary people. The rate of fire of the rifle bullet in Leno's hand, because it is specially made, is 3 times that of the flintlock gun, reaching about 980 meters per second. Triple initial velocity. What's the big deal? Wrong. Relying on observation Haki to perceive when danger is approaching until the body responds, there is a reaction time. 3 times the initial speed means shorter reaction time, and the threat has been increased by more than 3 times. Van Oka, known as Yinyu, because his bullet speed exceeds the speed of sound. In the big prison under the sea, he shot in the barrel of the soldiers who tried to shoot at them in an instant. That is to say, their bullets have not yet been fired, and they have been hit by Van Oka's bullets. This muzzle velocity is less than half of the rifle in Leno's hand, if the bullets are wrapped in armed colors and Conquerors. In the hands of Vice Admiral, it may be able to instantly kill against the same level of combat power, deterring people who are stronger than themselves. In the eyes of ordinary people, no matter whether it is a flintlock rifle or a sniper rifle, they are almost the same, anyway, it is only a matter of one shot. But in the duel of the strong, even microseconds of reaction time can be the difference between life and death. Played for a while, the gun overall satisfies him. But, whether a gun is good or not depends on whether it is practical or not. Especially good snipers like to adjust their firearms by themselves. Produce 100 pieces first. In the Hunters Guild, there are many people who use guns, such as Luel, Van Oka and others, making their test more convincing. Marijoy, Sengoku, you have done a good job. Since you took office, the world situation has maintained balance and become stable. The 5 elders sit each and praise Sengoku, 3 years. The 4 emperors, the Hunters Guild, none of them made trouble. It is difficult for the Revolutionary Army to make small fights. 5 elders finally had a comfortable life. Sengoku said calmly, "This is my duty, it's just." How? It must be seen that the number of pirates on the sea is increasing day by day, and the pressure on marine soldiers is increasing. Sengoku explained the purpose of coming. I hope to build a new batch of steam warships, and also update the Marines' equipment. He produced blueprints for rifles produced by West Blue and North Blue Arms. Our logistics department has been tested, these guns are the development direction of future weapons. Chapter 128 Robin is pregnant, 5 elders balance technique, ace kills. Marineford, Marshal Sengoku returns from Marijoy and meets Chief of Staff Suru Vice Admiral. How about it? Crane Vice Admiral asked. She was asking about updating armaments. Marshal Sengoku has been in office for 3 years, and the first 2 years are actually still in the process of handover, change of office and other related work. Therefore, the marine strategy of the first 2 years basically continued the content left by Marshal Kong. The peace of the world in the past 2 years has nothing to do with the warring states. But since the 3rd year, Sengoku has become familiar with and adapted to the position of Marshal, and began to want to do something. Just, really take the seat. Only then did Sengoku realize that it was not as simple as he thought. Not to mention the invisible constraints from within Marine. Let's just talk about the world government. Making unreasonable demands from time to time will give Sengoku a headache. For example, the 5 elders hope that the world will develop according to their vision, and it is best to maintain balance and stability. This limits the play of Sengoku. Do not, it's the 5 elders, limiting him on purpose. 5 elders built a blueprint for mutual checks and balances among Marine, 4 emperors, 7 warlords of the sea, CP, and Hunter Guild. Yes. Sengoku found that Marine is also in the check and balance relationship. He faintly sensed that the 5 elders were not so at ease with Marine and would interfere in some decisions. Sengoku doesn't need to have his own opinions, and 5 elders and world government are enough to explain. A puppet. Of course Sengoku was not reconciled. He's done his best to stay out of the Five Elders' blueprint and focus on the development within Marine. He and the staff carefully inspected and assessed. Suggestions to Five Elders. Increase military expenditure, use it to build warships, update armaments, expand soldiers, etc. But, Sengoku looked calm, and said, not passed, they think that Marine's current armaments and numbers are enough. Crane Vice Admiral was not surprised, and said, I heard that the expenditure on the CP department is double that of last year. Sengoku said, the world government is more inclined to use the CP department to deal with the Revolutionary Army, Hunter Guild. We Marine, just stop the pirates. Sengoku's flat tone showed dissatisfaction. What he believes in is the justice of King of the World, hoping to strengthen the Marine and completely solve the pirate problem. He thought he could change everything after becoming the Marine Marshal, but the reality is that he can't change anything. What the Five Elders and the world government need is an obedient and controllable Marine. Instead of an infinitely expanding Marine. Crane Vice Admiral frowned, and said, the gold in the sky is increasing year by year, and the burden on the allied countries is getting bigger and bigger. Her implication is that the world government has increased heavenly gold, but it has not been fully used to control pirates. This backfired. The money in the sky increases, the franchise countries increase taxes, and the common people cannot survive by labor, so they can only choose to take risks. It is a difficult situation for all countries, but think about it from another angle. This may be the Five Elders' plan. The number of people taking risks has increased, the situation in the franchise countries has become corrupt, and they are unable to govern the country, so they must rely on the world government. The hegemony of great powers is not just operated in this way, benefiting one country at the expense of hundreds of countries. As long as I live, who cares about the torrential flood? Sengoku calmed down a bit, and said, however, they said they want to research a new weapon and build a science unit for Marine. Scientific troops? Crane Vice Admiral was surprised and asked, Vegapunk? It should be, perhaps, his research has made some progress. Sengoku is not very clear about this. Marine is just one of many agencies within the world government. There is also the Army, Air Force, intelligence services, and so on. Because the world of pirates is dominated by sea areas, dotted with islands, the group gradually makes the Marine become huge. To this day, the number of people in other departments, including the CP department, may add up to less than 1/10 of Marine. Sengoku thinks that Kuzan's departure should make Five Elders vigilant and doubt Marine's loyalty. Under this kind of suspicion, no matter what plan Sengoku has, if it develops Marine, it will be rejected and blocked. Marine's armament expansion plans are put on hold. Intelligence was quickly on Leno's table. Build a steam ironclad ship, replace flintlock guns and artillery. In Marine, there are not sober people. Marine's plan is quite complete and feasible. If all members change their outfits, the whole team will definitely become stronger. Technological progress is a symbol of the new era. Compare the two battles. The replacement of weapons will bring earth-shaking changes to warfare. In the world of pirates, the emergence of ancient high technologies such as pacifists and blazing angels is also an innovation. Five Elders is technology-oriented and vigorously developed. They definitely see the benefits of semi-automatic rifles, automatic rifles. Then why is it still insisting that Marine use flintlocks, knives and guns? The first is the replacement of weapons, which requires a large amount of capital investment. Marine is not 10,000 people, but millions of people. How big of an expense is that? The second is the production price of new weapons, which is more expensive. The same rifle, a flintlock, is several times cheaper than a semi-automatic rifle. Currently West Blue's black market. The price of a flintlock gun is about 5,000 Baileys, including gunpowder and buckshot, 10,000 Baileys. And what about the price of a semi-automatic rifle? Almost 50,000 Baileys. And an ordinary human slave is only at this price, or even cheaper. It can be said that guns are more expensive than people. The money for arming 5 people can only arm 1 person now. Is it necessary? Finally, the ammunition loss of the rifle is much greater than that of the flintlock. After half a day of ammunition, the rifle is gone. All in all, one word, money. In the eyes of Five Elders, the lives of soldiers are just numbers and consumables, not worth the money invested. On the other hand, the pirate world is a world where there are as many monsters as a cow's hair. The existence of devil fruit, taijutsu, and haki makes the power of firearms far less than imagined. Its main function is to consume, contain, and suppress civilians. Really top-notch war. Ordinary soldiers belong to the soy sauce. Not to mention Conqueror's Haki, the strongest clear weapon skill. Physical skills and devil fruit are in place. It doesn't need to be too strong. At the naval headquarters school level, you can deal with hundreds of ordinary soldiers. So what is the use of well-equipped weapons for ordinary soldiers? Waste money. Of course, if these soldiers can all be armed, all of them can wrap their armed weapons around bullets. This is obviously unrealistic. Pirates' technology tree climbed quite crookedly. There are laser weapons and robots for high-end ones, and for low-end ones, a large number of Marines are still using swords. The development of weapons is often based on the environment and actual needs. What are the needs of the 5 elders? What they need is a high-end weapon that can deal with 4 emperors and Shichibukai. As for civilians, is it worth caring about? Enough with the flintlock. Can't the flintlock do it? Then send Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral to go. If even Rear Admiral and Vice Admiral can't solve it, can that rifle do the trick? Obviously not. Crowd tactics. Think of the Krieg, a fleet of 50 ships, hacked by Hawkeye and fleeing. So is it useless for Leno to develop armaments? Of course not. Leno and 5 elders are in different situations and positions. 5 elders holds the world government in their hands, with an army of millions, they don't worry about casualties at the bottom. There are too many deaths, and it is easy to recruit hundreds of thousands of soldiers in one world conscription. What about Leno? He comes from another world, he pays more attention to people, and he affirms the value of living people more than cold weapons. Guilds that can become hunters belong to the elite. Equipping them with better weapons can enhance their combat power. Of course, all in all, Leno was just protecting himself, well, really, just protecting himself. It's always right to be cautious. If possible, Leno also wants to try to get a peace messenger. Rabbit's lack of firepower phobia is probably engraved in everyone's bones. Ding. Gluttonous demon god talent fusion progress 50%. The system prompt sounds. Leno leaned back, his joints creaked, and amidst the beating of his heart, there was surging strength. Click. He didn't have the power to control. Haki escaped and broke the glass of the desk and window through the air. Asterisk 50% already. Leno exhaled, raised his hand, and Haki quietly entangled. It seems that there is only a thin layer, but the raging Haki in the body can strengthen the defense of a certain point at any time. You can also focus on one place and launch a more violent attack. Gluttony Demon God's talent boosts him in all aspects, not only including his physical fitness. It also has boosts for Haki. Leno can clearly feel that the quantity, quality, and recovery speed of his own Haki have all improved significantly. Body is the source of Haki. The strength of Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, Edward Newgate and others has something to do with their physical strength. Even Kuzan, Sakazuki, Pelusolino, etc., were hailed as monsters when they entered Marine. Today's Leno doesn't need to go out to hunt talents, he just needs to exercise every day and tap the existing talents. What's more, every year in the hunter assessment, he can harvest one talent, which can be said to be too much to use up. Boo boo boo. The phone rang, and Robin, who was diagonally opposite, took it. He had shawls and long hair, and a purple dress, which was even more familiar. Compared to back then, Robin's temperament is a little more gentle and calm. Crow's phone. Robin transferred the phone to Leno tacitly, with beautiful eyes, stroking the slightly bulging belly, and a smile on the corner of his mouth. Zero. Asking for flowers. She could hear the beating of new life. There are really research results. Continuation of one's own life. It's a completely different feeling from doing academics. Island of Acrobatics, Ace. Leno raised his eyebrows slightly. He glanced at the calendar. 517 years. Ace is out to sea. However, there is a huge difference from the original plot, and the pattern of East Blue has been completely changed. So when Ace went out to sea, in order to make a name for himself, he naturally chose Hunter's Guild. Unknowingly, Leno and the Hunter's Guild became the biggest boss on East Blue. The weakest sea changes quietly. No one dares to say that East Blue is the weakest sea, but call it the grave of pirates and the paradise of hunters. Many new pirates from East Blue have broken into the sea, are ambitious and confident, and want to try. Result. Try and die, it is said, after the Hunter Conference was successfully held. Since last year, no pirate group has been able to enter the Grand Line from East Blue's Upside Down Mountain. Rog Town knew. The transferred commander, Smoker, has not caught a single pirate so far, and all of them have been caught by hunters. At the same time, East Blue's marine bounty payout increased by 100-fold, which made the marine branch dare not issue bounties indiscriminately. Many marine soldiers were infested with fleas, and in some branch bases, the warships had not been dispatched for 3 years, and moss grew. Even, there are quite a few marine soldiers who got themselves a hunter license. Be a marine by day and a hunter by night. Work 2 jobs, double the fun. Anyway, the Hunter Guild has no restrictions on occupations, and marines can also get licenses. At first, division commanders also banned it. Later, there were more and more people, TNGN turned a blind eye. There are also commanders who have joined the Hunters Guild themselves, and have missions on them, which are handed over to the Hunters Guild. Not only completed the task, but also earned the price difference, which is very cool. The essential. If you don't do it like this, the hunters will earn all the marine bounties, and the commander is also a human being, so he has to support his family. Loyalty. Don't be kidding, most of the sailors are just for work, especially the sailors of the Four Seas Division. Ace defeated the 3 giants of the Island of Acrobatics, Mochi the Animal Trainer, Kabaji the Acrobat, and Zango the Magician. Okay. True big 3. Isn't that just right? I heard that they often use our banner to oppress guests on the island. They're not hunters, so there's no need to worry about them. Did Ace burn our flag? That's a little troublesome, what an ignorant child. I'm just idle. I haven't been active for a long time, let's go there myself. Leno hung up the phone. Do you want to go out? Robin looked over. Well, are you going? Robin caressed his lower abdomen and said, the doctor said that I will have a miscarriage recently, and I can't do strenuous exercise, so I won't. It is good. Leno smiled, touched her belly, and kissed her on the cheek. This isn't Leno's first child. 2 years ago, Leno's first daughter was born on Nine Snake Island, named Shaya. A year ago, Luel, who was in charge of Kale Bali, returned to Elegia and handed over the work of New World to her whole life. Secretly gave birth to his first son, named Charles. For security reasons, it has not been announced to the public, and there are not many insiders in the Hunters Guild. New World. On a deserted island. In the jungle, there is a small experimental base. Jin held a strange devil fruit and said, Guy Saw, is this the devil fruit you made? Hey, blah, blah, that's right. This is a zone devil fruit, which adopts the pedigree factor of Scorpion. Worker. Guy said proudly. Man-made devil fruit. Jin put the fruit into the box and said, I will take it back to the governor, if you dare to lie to us. Guy's face froze, and flatteringly said, of course not, but if you want to make more devil fruit, you need. If this is true, you can get what you want. Jin said lightly. After Kaido lost to Leno and failed to subdue the Hunter Guild, he did not stop to expand his power. On the one hand, he went around looking for people to fight, telling people all over the world, Leno is the first, and I am the second. On the other hand, looking around for young talents to earn under his command. New organizations such as Three Plagues, Sextuplets, Numberers, and Endowers were formed. At the same time, he cooperated with Doflamingo and others, intervened in the world arms trade, earned a lot of Bailey, and supported Guy's research. Not just Kaido. Big Mom Pirates contacted North Blue Jamal 66 and started research and development of Titan Potion. There is no doubt that in the seemingly peaceful world, careerists are all accumulating strength and waiting for the next big battle. Chapter 129 Logia Mera Mera Fruit. East Blue's biggest boss is here. East Blue, in a certain sea area. An uninhabited island with coconut trees. The sun shining fiercely. White sandy beach. Only the chirping of seabirds and the calm sound of the waves are silently recording the time. Ace walks through the coconut grove and picks off a coconut. He cracked open the hard shell, drank the coconut juice inside, and ate the jelly-like coconut meat inside. He threw away the coconut shell, put his hands on his hips, and looked towards the sea. Clear sea water, a piece of clarity. Too beautiful an island, Sixus. Once you set foot on it, you can't leave the uninhabited island until you die. Ace's second goal out to sea. Ace isn't really an idiot. Before he went to sea, he collected intelligence and made detailed plans. He knew that after defeating the Big Three in Acrobatic Island, it would definitely attract the attention of the Hunter Guild. They will send someone. Therefore, before the situation becomes clear, he wants to, invisible, temporarily, and he chose Sixus Island. Legends of treasure hidden on this island are ancient. Quite famous among the nearby crew. It's just that no one will approach this island. Because once in, it's impossible to leave. No one knows what the island looks like. Powerful pirates are always attracted by huge treasures. Find legendary treasures and defeat famous characters to climb to the top. Ace had planned it this way. As a result, the ship was gone, and the treasure was not found. It was a terrible misfortune. The bounty criminals did not see half of them, and they couldn't get out. This island is really not a good place. Wherever Ace looked. In the distance of the flat and shallow sea shining emerald green, there is a special current. Any objects that approach will be dragged in the direction of the island. It can be described as an invisible prison in the sea. Thanks to it, all those who entered the island had to be forced to enjoy the last vacation of their lives. This can't work. Ace gritted his teeth. I haven't reached the top yet. 140. He looks out to sea. I'm not interested in the unique, big secret treasure, I only have the peak in my eyes. Ace is not reconciled. He wants to get out of here. He hit the road again. 2 days later, Ace walked along the beach to the other side of the island to investigate the situation on this side. He first saw a stranded ship. You and I are very unlucky. Am I stupid? Ace heard someone talking to himself. He looked for fame. A masked figure sat in the shade of a coconut tree. Standing quietly beside him are the bones of the predecessors. Looks like it should be a pirate. A rusty pistol was still held in a hand that had lost its flesh and blood. Neither weapons nor gems can be brought to that world. All that remains after death is the bones. At least dig him a grave, I'll help too. Ace said aloud, suggesting to that person. Tomb. That's what you said, let's do it. The man answered with his eyes closed. Next second, he snapped his eyes open, straightened up, and glared at Ace. He is terrified now. Ace can understand, this is an uninhabited island, if someone suddenly speaks, if he is himself, he will be frightened, right? Ah, hello, first time meeting. After making eye contact, Ace bowed politely. My name is Ace, and I was walking by the sea just now. Please help me. Ace tried to ease the tense atmosphere, and sat down as naturally as possible under the squinting eyes of the other party. Although the other party is very vigilant. But Ace still learned that he came to the island for 3 days, just like himself, he was also a lost person. I'm building a raft now, but it's not going well. Would you like to come and build it with me? Ace invites. The other party is very cautious. Just like the mask he wears, he doesn't want others to see his appearance, even his name needs to be hidden. You probably don't understand, in my hometown, people who go to sea in pursuit of freedom will be ridiculed. Pirates, hunters, bounty hunters, and adventurers are all considered the same. If it is discovered that such shameful things have happened to my family, maybe even my innocent family members will be implicated and accused by thousands of people. Ace named him Deuce. It refers to the 2 points in the bridge and dice, which means, bad luck, bad luck. It just so happens to be in line with the current situation. It's a bit ironic, but it's a good name. And in the random suspicion of Deus, he also learned that the ace in front of him turned out to be the son of Roger, the Pirate King. Shock. Deus couldn't believe it. One Piece Roger's life, there are many rumors. Even in the reports of the world government, his name will be deliberately changed to Gold Roger. Fortunately, Deus's family background is unusual, he knows Roger's real name. Gall D. Roger. He is not a small character like a criminal. That was the name of the legendary villain known to everyone in the world. That is the pirate who once dominated the Grand Line and is said to have obtained a huge god-tier secret treasure named Open Black Lens Bracket One Piece Close Black Lens Bracket. Beginning with his execution, the whole world has changed. Before Roger, after Roger. History is divided. It can even make people in the world plant such an idea in their hearts. This man has such a huge influence. To be honest, he is like a legendary monster written in the story. And that man's son, is it actually this ace in front of you at this moment? Deus couldn't believe it for a moment. If you want to be on land, it must be regarded as nonsense, and you will laugh it off after hearing it. But, what is it? Ace, who is still silent, what is he thinking? Maybe it's thoughts of regret. Regret for revealing the secret of his life experience. But this true emotion revealed from the bottom of my heart does not just explain it. Hateful. Deus's thoughts were in a mess. Distrust makes cooperation unsustainable. Ace builds the ship by himself. But his workmanship is very poor, it is not so much a boat as a coffin board. Overturned again and again. What an irony. The beautiful uninhabited island in the haunting story. Now in it. Then, as now, on the brink of death. Is this the great gap between dream and reality? I won't die in such a ghostly place. Ace grunted and limped. Desert island survival sucks. His figure reveals a strong sense of sadness. God closes the door for you, but always leaves a window for you. Ace, who was walking on the beach, suddenly saw a round red fruit on the beach. It looks like a dragon fruit. The appearance is an orange-red spherical fruit with spiral patterns on the top. Fruit stalk is blue, uzumaki at one end, flame-shaped. The epidermis is composed of countless small flame-shaped spiral fruit patterns, which are gathered together, and it looks delicious at first glance. Ace thought he was wrong, because he passed by here not long ago, and there was no such fruit. Was it washed up by the sea? Ace looks out to sea. Thanks to the sea, Ace was very excited. He grabbed the fruit. Suddenly, he heard someone behind him. He turned and it was Deus, holding a stick, looking alarmed by Ace's sudden turn. Ace saw his hunger for food, and his shivering, shaking body. This is a person who yearns for the sea but is unprepared. Ace thought, he is too weak. Without using Ace to make a move, he lost his job and fell to the ground. Ace heard the gurgling in his stomach. He may need food more than himself. With a wry smile, Ace handed him the fruit. Here, eat. Deus was at a loss, feeling ashamed spontaneously. I shed tears for my contempt, regret for my actions just now, and the hardships of the situation. Deus rejected the fruit of Ace. But Ace still gave him half, and at the same time showed a smile and said, come and help me build a boat. The color of the pulp is light orange. Deus held the fruit and watched Ace take a bite, his expression became weird, but he still swallowed hard. Deus also took a bite, and finally found the reason for Ace's strange expression. Unpalatable. Unpalatable to explode. Deuce never had poop. But he feels that it is not too much to describe its taste as the most unpalatable poop. But, in the immediate situation, such an unpalatable food makes him feel that it is delicious in the world, and it is the best food he has ever eaten. Deus thought that in the wilderness survival novels, there would be descriptions of drinking urine. It turns out that when people reach their limit, they can really do it. That kind of hunger, thirst, when the eyes turn green, you can really eat and drink anything. Facing Ace, start to feel ashamed. As for Roger, he only read about it in newspapers or books. For that man who has never met, let alone talked to. What he chooses is to listen to the evaluations of the world, the opinions of others, and judge too easily. As for Ace, who inherited the blood of the so-called extremely evil person, he also decided in his heart that he was not a good person. So I feel like it doesn't matter what I do. He suddenly realized. Isn't this just the reaction of adults he hated when he was a child? See, Ace through colored glasses. I don't know when I have become such an adult, such a person. But what about Ace in reality? Although you are still hungry, you can share food with others who are also hungry. Under the setting sun, Ace and Deus sat side by side, looking into the distance. Suddenly, Deus found that Ace's body was burning with a flame, and an extinguishable flame. The boat moved forward rapidly as if gliding on smooth waves. Ace's raging flames acted as propulsion. Faster than paddling by hand. Don't have to wait for a tailwind. The boat can also move forward steadily and smoothly. The islands are getting farther and farther away. The tomb built for the bone also slowly shrank into a grain of gravel. Look from afar. The scenery of the island is like a paradise, extremely beautiful. As if arranged by fate. Ace got Logia Mera Mera fruit. After a short period of training, he can control his ability and use it to get out of trouble. In the beginning, I just wanted to find the treasure quickly, and then keep defeating more powerful characters so that I could become famous. Li Wan is all. Ace put his hand on the hat to prevent it from being blown away by the sea breeze. However, my thinking was wrong. Only relying on these, there is no way to enter the field name. No matter how priceless treasures I find, no matter how powerful pirates I defeat, if I am alone, it will be meaningless. In the end, the rumors that there are treasures on that island are really just rumors. After gradually entering the distant sea area, the waves finally got bigger. The current rolled over the waves, and the boat was violently shaken with a groan. However, the boat continued to move forward without fear. Even though our circumstances are different, we all have a big opinion of our father. Ace stared straight ahead, beyond everything, whether it's the waves, or the storm, or fate. And then, finally, by the way, surpassing father. Ace's flame burned even more violently. The speed of the boat continued to increase, and the shaking became more violent. Deus grabbed hold of the hull tightly. The boat is like a broken bamboo in the waves, crossing the current, going forward indomitably. The bow of the ship began to lift. In an instant. The boat passed through the prison of the sea and sailed beautifully through the air. The countless waves that danced along with it shone brightly under the sunlight. Ace is laughing. He held his head high and looked straight ahead fearlessly, with a pure smile on his face. Then, Ace shouted out his decided goal, pointing to the peak of the future. I want to surpass One Piece. The cloudless sky echoed Ace's grand ambitions. Deus's mood also became magnificent. Yes. Before that, you have to go with me first. Is it an auditory hallucination? Thought Deus. Who is talking? How is this possible? Who else is there besides him and Ace in this kind of place? Deus raised his head subconsciously, then opened his mouth, widened his eyes, and tugged at the corner of Ace's clothes. Ace's reaction was faster than Deus's, so he was discovered earlier. Sky, looking at a witch. Yes, floating. He completely ignored the gravitational force of the earth, and was flourished in midair by the quiet wind. Tall stature. Handsome face. Short black hair with slightly long ears. A man who makes people feel perfect. That kind of perfection made Deuce feel that he just walked out of the book and appeared in reality. But, he soon discovered that on the slowing boat, Ace's body was tense, exuding a tense atmosphere. Ace is like the wolf of the tiger he met, with his body bent down, and his tense muscles contain powerful explosive power. Suddenly, Deus found out the clothes that the man was wearing. The long trench coat undulates slightly in the wind, and there are 2 knives at the waist. Badge on top. That is, Bloody Black Dragon, Hunter Guild. Deus was shocked. Why did members of the Hunters Guild appear here? Etc. 2.5 Deus suddenly remembered. Ace mentioned that he seems to have attacked a Hunter Guild stronghold and defeated their men. Leno. Ace stared at Leno floating in midair, skin, pores, every cell tensed up. Leno. These 2 words are like a bolt from the blue. Deus was so startled that he almost fell from the boat into the sea. It's him. Deus gradually merged the figure floating in midair with the person in the newspaper. All the news and deeds about Leno emerged. Defeat the 4 emperors. The world's strongest hunter. Establish a hunter guild all over the world. That kind of person who has been compared with Roger, unexpectedly appeared in front of them. Roger is a dead legend. Leno is a living legend. Ace, burning someone else's flag is an act of declaring war, so do you have that awareness? Leno stood in the air and looked down. After roughly confirming the sea area where Ace is located, Leno's eyes locked on the island immediately. In fact, Leno came to this island to find a suitable devil fruit for Belle Mel. But there is no Mera Mera fruit on the island. After Ace landed on the island, it washed onto the beach with the waves and appeared at the right time. Leno's words were flat, but it made Deus tremble. Ace stared and said, that matter has nothing to do with him. Hearing this sentence, Deus felt ashamed, summoned up his courage, and said, hey, Ace, our partner. Ace smiled slightly, his black pupils radiated the light of flames, and the flames quickly wrapped around his fists. Fire punch. Ace jumped up from the small boat, and blasted towards Leno with his flaming fist. Boom. The flames rolled and covered the sky, and the scorching high temperature lingered in the air wantonly. Will it win? Ace. Deus watched nervously. Chapter 130 Ace. I'm finished just after setting out to sea. Blackmail Garp. Over the sea. The fire fist lingering in the flames rushed past. Facing East Blue's biggest boss, Ace didn't let up in the slightest, and used Devil Fruit as soon as he made a move. The power of the flame, combined with his angry fist, completely raised his strength to a higher level. Also, Mera Mera Fruit is Lodia and can be elementalized. Ace has been mastered after a short training. With this ability, even if he competes with many pirates in the Paradise section, he still has a place. Indeed, under the check and balance of Haki, Devil Fruit is restricted. But Devil Fruit, as the most unique power in One Piece world, still has various incredible effects. It is a shortcut for ordinary people to quickly gain strength. If Ace's opponent is someone else, he will probably be caught off guard by his new abilities. But his opponent is Leno. Devil Fruit, what a dreamy fruit of the sea. Deus looked at the flames in the sky, shocked, delighted, and a little bit looking forward. If Ace can beat Leno, mid-air, the burning flames slowly dissipated. Ace's fist was grabbed by one hand, and the fiercely burning flame couldn't hurt Leno's tomb. Not even the corner of his clothes was hurt. Ah, Ace! Deus exclaimed. Ace's eyes shrank, and he had the same power as Garp. His elemental fists were reunited by a kind of chi. This feeling, like some kind of object, filled the area he wanted to elementalize, resulting in a rejection reaction. Ace kicked hard sideways. Too slow. Leno's figure disappeared, too fast for Ace to see clearly. Ace made an empty kick, and his vision blurred. Immediately, severe pain came from the chest. Wow! Ace spat blood from the corner of his mouth. The body bowed backward like a prawn, the violent impact of pain ravaged the mind and consciousness, covering the darkness. His eyes rolled white and he fell to the sea. Allegia. After the reconstruction, 5 years of continuous expansion and land reclamation have doubled the size of the entire island. Law Firm. The judgment body of the Hunter Guild. After the Mad Toria incident, Leno perfected the law firm and appointed Bell Mel as the law firm's chief justice. The overall shape of the building resembles a balance. Pirate Ace, you burned the flag 05 for no reason. And caused an economic loss of 300 million Baileys. You were sentenced to pay for the loss, enter the redemption camp, and work for 2 years. The atonement camp is the Hunters Guild's shelter for misdemeanors, and the punishments are mainly labor and imprisonment. Since the birth of the Hunter Guild, something like Ace. There are only too many people who want to make a name for themselves by challenging Leno. Thousands of people were tried by the law firm. Ace was wearing seastone handcuffs, leaning limply against the wall. Deus was better than him. He is not demon fruit power, seastone hand has little effect. Just after the two left Sixus, they met Leno, the leader of the hunter, and the boat capsized instantly before setting sail. Damn it, let me out. Ace shouted loudly. Hey, let me out. Ace wanted to stand up, but he was so weak that he could only shout. Bastard, damn it, Ace cursed angrily. Deuce, break it open for me. I don't want to waste 2 years, I'm the one who wants to reach the top. Ace was extremely unwilling. Forget it, seastone is the crystallization of the sea, restrain all demon fruit power. In the darkness, there was a sound. It is as hard as a diamond and indestructible by ordinary means. Ace and Deus looked over. Who are you? Ace and Deus have noticed each other for a long time. But no matter what they shouted before, he didn't speak, and thought he was dead. My name is Carl. The man said in a deep voice, I am a pirate collector. Carl. Ace said. You know what is on my hand, it makes me feel weak. Huh, are you an idiot? Didn't I say that? Seastone, that's seastone. Don't you know demon fruit power, cursed by the sea? That's it. Ace suddenly realized, and said, you are also demon fruit power. So, you know this. Of course not. I have traveled to various ports in the world on various ships. Have you been arrested too? Deus said. Carl was speechless. Isn't it obvious that he looks like this? Must have been caught. I secretly boarded a Hunters Guild ship, and followed them from West Blue to East Blue. Carl explained. He is a pirate enthusiast and a collector of skeletons. Because I am too obsessed with pirates. He's always sneaking into various pirate ships. After being discovered, he should be dealt with as a handyman. Until the ship arrives at the next port. Hey, is that so? In this case, your story must be very exciting if it is written as a novel. Deus was excited. Isn't the purpose of his going to sea to collect various materials and create his own novels? Fiction. Carl asked curiously. Okay. Deus said. I hope to write a book similar to Lewis Arnold's, Liars. Have you read it? I've heard of it, but I haven't read it. Hey, you two, stop chatting, think of a way, and jump out together. Ace suggested. Ace was caught, without causing any waves. Only, Roger's son Ace was caught, will detonate the world and attract people's attention. Allegia. Leno called Guion. Hello. This is the Guion Admiral line. What can I do for you? It wasn't Guion who answered the phone, but her staff. Listen to the sound. It should be a sweet-looking female soldier. I'm Leno. Please pick up Gion for me, just tell her if I need something. Call room. The body is strong and burly. The spooky female soldier of Madara glanced at the record book of important figures, and hurriedly said, President Leno, please wait a moment. After a while, staff. Gion, who was discussing the problem with Suru Vice Admiral, connected Leno's phone with some doubts. Gion, I'm Leno, please help me find Vice Admiral Garp. Gion froze for a moment. It's not looking for her for a long time. Gion, are you still there? Here, wait a minute. Gion covered the microphone and said to Suru Vice Admiral, I'm looking for Vice Admiral Garp. Ask him what he does, Crane Vice Admiral said. At the same time she summoned an orderly. Get Vice Admiral Garp over to the training ground. Gion let go of his hand and asked curiously, so what are you doing with Vice Admiral Garp? It's nothing, it's just that his grandson ran away from home and went to the island of acrobatics to wreak havoc, causing quite a lot of damage. Leno said. About 400 to 500 million Pele, I will negotiate with Vice Admiral Garp to see if he can send me compensation. What? Gion was startled, as if he didn't understand. I can't explain it to you. I'll tell him when Vice Admiral Garp comes. Leno felt that Gion probably didn't know about Ace, so he didn't say much. Gion's face darkened. She stabbed Leno twice in the heart, thinking that there were people beside her, so she couldn't say much. She breathed out, covered the microphone and said, this person's attitude is too bad. What did he say? Crane Vice Admiral asked. He said that the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp ran away from home and went to his place to cause damage and caused losses. He hopes that Vice Admiral Garp can compensate him. Crane Vice Admiral was stunned. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. This was the first time Naval Headquarters encountered such a thing. Knowing that it is Garp's grandson, but still calling to ask for compensation, what should I say? And only Leno does that. Garp is at the training ground. Train the Marine elite sent from each branch. Hearing the messenger's message, he pressed his nostrils and came to the staff headquarters. Xiaohei, what do you want me for? Suru Vice Admiral and Gion looked at him speechlessly. It's not us looking for you, it's your grandson who has an accident. Gion said. What? Garp stared wide-eyed, looked left and right, and said, my grandson. Where is my grandson? Gion handed the microphone to Garp and said, you talk to Leno. Leno. Garp took the microphone and said, hi. Vice Admiral Garp, my grandson is with you. Although Garp is usually confused and unreliable, he is still very reliable at critical times. Well, a guy named Ace, now I've got it. What? That guy really went to sea to become a pirate. Garp stares. Okay. Inside the general staff, not only the two people from Suru Vice Admiral and Gion, but also other staff, at this moment they involuntarily pricked up their ears. Marine hero Vice Admiral Garp's grandson going to be a pirate. This is too prickly, right? Crane Vice Admiral coughed lightly. The staff member who pricked up his ears immediately lowered his head. Whether Ace is a pirate or not is not the point is that he has caused a lot of damage to us. Leno said. About 400 to 500 million Baileys lost, for the sake of your Vice Admiral Garp, let's pay 300 million. What? Garp was confused. I said, you will pay 300 million Baileys for the loss caused by Ace. Garp glanced left and right, staying behind the words. Hey, Vice Admiral Garp, you can't afford 300 million Baileys, can you? Leno said. Let me tell you, even if you are Marine Vice Admiral, if your grandson made a mistake, you have to pay for it. If you dare to renege on your debt, I will publish it in the newspaper. The news that Marine Vice Admiral Garp's grandson went to sea to become a pirate should be very interesting. If it doesn't work, I'll go to your headquarters to block the door. Garp frowned. Then he shouted with an exaggerated expression, what are you talking about? I can't hear you clearly, your signal is not good. As Garp spoke, he took the microphone away. Hey, hello, I can't hear you. Pat. Garp hangs up the phone. There was audible silence all around. All of them looked dumbfounded. Garp laughed, scratched his head and said, nothing, it's a scam call. Be careful, there are many phone scammers now. Garp said on the sidelines. As if nothing had happened, he walked out of the staff headquarters with his hands behind his back. Hearing the hang-up sound on the phone, Leno was speechless. Garp is trying to renege on his debt, but he wants to renege. Let's just renege on the debt, this move of Duan Yi is too low level. Garp quickly returned to his office and contacted Dayton. What? Ace really went to sea? Garp glanced outside, lowering his voice. Didn't I tell you to watch them? Looking at them. Dayton complained. What you said is simple. When I was a child, I could still watch it. Now they don't make trouble for me, so they will burn their incense. So, it's true that Ace was caught. Garp scratched his head. What? Ace got caught? Which bastard did it? Dan was shocked. Garp pondered for a moment, and instead of answering Dayton, he asked, where's Luffy? Is the kid still safe? Running around in the woods every day, getting into the woods, I can't see anyone for a few days. Dayton said. Hey, You said Ace was arrested, what's going on? Ah, it's okay, it's okay, it's good to let him suffer a little, because Yinhai is not as beautiful as the young people think. Garp hung up the microphone, recalling the conversation with Roger before he died. Your son, in your old ways, Roger. However, since you have chosen to go to sea, you must be responsible for what you did, Ace. Calm belt. On an island, Ace, Deus, and Carl started working, transporting and mining ore. Here, Ace also met Mochi, Kabaji, and 203 Zengao who were defeated by him. I've inquired. They're just peripheral members of the Hunters Guild, not real hunters yet. After dark, in prison, Carl shared the news of the investigation with Ace and Deus. This is Calm Belt, it's hard to escape, so the defense is not so strict. Deus said. If we want to escape from prison, we need more people. Carl said. These people all have some abilities. Ace was silent, and said, contact them. Ace and the others are still young, so of course they are not willing to go to jail. Prison break. Must be jailbroken. Ace's inner fire burns. As long as he can leave here, even temporarily cooperating with Mochi and the others is not intolerable. Ace and his partners, when starting the pirate, prison break. Alagia. In the Hall of Music. In the front row, Leno sat and listened to Yuta singing. Fight. If you go forward bravely with a firm heart, you will eventually find the answer. Right. Symbolizes my true desire. Honesty in it. Delight. It fills my heart like an inconceivable one. That's because I have already recognized myself. Exist. Exist. Go ahead. Embark on the open journey ahead. After Yuta finished singing, he saluted and thanked, and the audience applauded thunderously. Thank you. I'm Yuta. Yuta waved her hands excitedly. This was her first public solo concert, and about 5,000 people participated. That's awesome, Tower. Yuta, come backstage. Nami, Nuo Chigao, Karina, Zoro, Sanji, Luo and so on. The friends Yuta met at the Hunter School all congratulated her. Hunter School has been open for 3 years. The first batch of students will graduate next year. At the same time, new students are recruited every year. Nami, Zoro, Sanji, and Luo are already prominent figures in the academy. The most special, of course, is Yuta. Because although Yuta is still in school, he is already an S-level hunter and the founder of the music hunter genre. A music hunter is a person whose goal is to collect, create, produce, disseminate, and promote all kinds of music. In addition, 4 people like Zoro, Sanji, Luo, and Sokka successfully passed the hunter assessment last year. Zoro and Sokka are bounty hunters. Sanji is a food hunter. Luo is a medicine hunter. They shine brightly in their respective fields. Leno didn't disturb their celebration, he chatted for a while with Gordon, who runs the music hall. Since Alagia, only happy, peaceful, and positive songs are allowed. The Demon King of Song was soothed and fell into a deep sleep. But Leno is quite wary of it. During the conversation, Chloe came. President, send back a message from Buggy. Okay. They have reached the moon. Chapter 131 Golden Town, Sky Island Raiders, Kuina's Battle. Alagia, the headquarters building of the Hunters Guild. Buggy, are they here yet? Well, I just received the message and I'm about to land. Because the distance is too far, the signal is very weak. Leno's exploration plan for the moon started a few years ago. At that time, it was the end of 1512 on the Sea Circle calendar. Buggy, who got freedom, led his men and devoted himself to the great enthusiasm for finding treasure. He and his men became treasure hunters. Buggy accidentally heard the rumors that someone was looking for the Golden Land in Magic Valley Town. Golden Country. Buggy remembered, isn't that the story about Sky Island? He and Roger had boarded Sky Island back then. I have heard similar stories. Buggy arrives in Magic Valley and finds the man who was looking for the Golden Country. Monty Braun Kulik. 400 years ago, Kulik's ancestor, Braun Nolando, did not deny the existence of the Golden Land until his death because he trusted his friends. As a result, he was executed by the king, bearing the eternal infamy, and was called the Big Liar. The descendants of the Mont Braun family were also treated differently because of this incident. 400 years later, in order to find the truth, Kulik set off from North Blue and came to the place where the ancestors recorded. Even I don't fully believe it myself. But in order to prove the existence of the Golden Country and break the curse of the Braun family, I would rather bet my life to fight against fate. Because the ancestor Nolando guessed that the Golden Land had sunk into the sea, Linlick started diving and salvage operations. Until Buggy and their arrival. After learning that the land of gold is not under the sea, but in the sky, Mont Braun Cook joined Buggy's team and began the flight program. Certainly, this plan, relying on themselves alone, will definitely not be able to achieve it. Buggy knows the tough times along the way. But it's okay. There is someone behind him. The advantage of being organized is that you can ask the organization for help when you don't have enough strength for what you want to do. With the support of Leno, Buggy and Kulik successfully went to the mechanical island and found Dr. Eugian, a fellow Vegapunk. Dr. Tsukimi is good at machine manufacturing. After convincing him, Created an empty boat. A giant hot air balloon. See Circle Calendar 1514. During World Summit, Kuina, who arrived from Gion, and more than 50 people including Buggy and Kulik boarded the airship. Sky Island is undoubtedly a place full of fantasy for people living on the ground. Plus the road to Sky Island is tough. It is unimaginably difficult to climb 10,000 meters from the ground without the ability to fly. Therefore, the existence of Sky Island has been questioned by many people. Buggy had doubts once, too. He was still in the Roger Pirates at the time. When Captain Roger proposes to find Sky Island, he argues with Shanks. Except for this kind of thing. They also discussed whether it was colder in the South Pole or in the North Pole. Sky Island is divided into Baihai and Beibaihai. What we are going to is Beibaihai. Buggy folded his arms, pretending to be mature, with a bossy style. Going to Sky Island, there are 2 roads every day. First, through ordinary routes, you will encounter several Sky Islands along the way from the West Sky Summit. Secondly, take the soaring ocean current called Monster Ocean Current to arrive directly, but the survival rate is extremely low. Listening to Buggy's words, the people on the airship admired him. As expected of Boss Buggy, that's amazing. Yeah, even the mysterious Sky Island is clear. Buggy head Sai Gao. Buggy listened to the flattery and felt complacent. There are islands in the White Sea, like Visalia, which is actually an island in the White Sea, but it is quite close to Qinghai. Besides Visalia, there are other entrances to the White Sea. But if you want to get from the White Sea to the White Sea, you have to go through the Gate of Heaven. Buggy squeezed his chin, looking serious. It's not an easy task to cross the White Sea and reach the Gate of Heaven. There are also many terrifying existences living on the islands of the White Sea. The huge sky fish are the people of Sky Island who are good at air combat. The most difficult thing is oxygen. Oxygen. Yes, at such a height, the air is very thin, and our exercise ability will be greatly reduced due to the thinning of oxygen. So, I prepared oxygen cylinders for everyone. With a wave of Buggy, an orangutan walked out carrying the box. They are 2 brothers. The captain of the gorilla pirates, Gorilla. The captain of the ape pirates, Masra. Be moved by the spirit of Bron Kulik, follow him, and then with Curry K, join the Buggy team. As the airship flew higher and higher, the air gradually thinned, and a chill penetrated into the airship, making the crew shiver. Buggy's oxygen cylinder has been well received by everyone. Hey, Kuina, don't you need it? Buggy looked at Kuina who was holding the knife. The once little girl is now slim. She still has short hair and wears the custom uniform of the Hunters Guild. The whole person looks clean and tidy. She held open black lens bracket he Dao Yi when close black lens bracket, closed her eyes, and meditated while sitting. Besides her, there is also a fat woman, a long-handed clan, a murloc, and a long-shouldered clan. All of them were conquered by Kuina on the Sabayati archipelago, and all of them are good at swordsmanship. Kuina glanced at Buggy and said, no need. Although the rapidly reduced oxygen will affect physical fitness, Kuina feels that this is a kind of exercise. In fact, she learned from Leno, went deep into the sea, and performed anaerobic training. The airship rose to an altitude of 7,000 meters, broke through a layer of clouds, and floated on top of the ocean. Damn, lack of oxygen. It's so weak. I don't want to move. Tinnitus and dizziness. Doctor, I need a doctor, help me. Help, I think I can still save it. The thinner air caused some crew members to open their mouths wide, eager to absorb more oxygen. Kuina frowned slightly, feeling unwell. Not as serious as others. Half a day later, they successfully reached the Gate of Heaven. Completely calm, no surprises at all. At the Gate of Heaven, hangs a cloud waterfall like the Milky Way, the spectacular scenery is breathtaking. If you want to enter the country from the Gate of Heaven, each person must pay a fee of 1 billion Ike, 100,000 Bailey. Ik is the currency unit of Sky Island. The conversion relationship of the currency unit, Pele, in Blue Ocean is that 1 Pele is equal to 10,000 Ike. Excuse me, are you here for sightseeing, or for war? Well, it doesn't matter which one it is, if you think of the upper class, please pay the entry fee. As the entrance to Sky Island, open black lens bracket the Gate of Heaven close black lens bracket. Such an important place. The person in charge of the guard was an old woman with a face like a sour plum. She tremblingly took a picture with the camera. Looks like it's going to fall at any moment. As if to say to those who want to enter the country. Let's go. Looking at me like this, how can I stop you, and what entry fee is there? Kuina is an honest child, how could he do that? She made Buggy pay the entry fee. Buggy was speechless. I complained in my heart. We are here to grab gold, what entry fee do we have to pay, just break in. But there is no way. In terms of rank, Kuina, who is the head of the Sabayati Archipelago branch of the Hunter Guild, is in charge of the entire Paradise section. Just so happens to be his Buggy's boss. Moreover, Kuina is the leader of this operation. In terms of relationship, Kuina and Leno have a deeper friendship than they have with Crow and Luel. Wait until Kuina pays the fee. Actually, it's the same if you don't pay the fee. The old woman couldn't help but say. Anyway, the new god Enel will not let these Blue Ocean people go. We are hunters, not pirates. Kuina said. The boat enters the cloud river of open black lens bracket, the gate of heaven close black lens bracket. But how shall we go? The orangutan Masla rested his hand on his forehead and looked up. Boss Buggy, there must be some special method. A huge, hill-like pippy shrimp emerged from the Yunhee River. Ah, what the hell, what a bunch of bumpkins. The old woman rolled her eyes. That's Baihai's specialty, express shrimp. It will take you up there. The express shrimp stretched out its big pincers and caught the boat. Then put the boat on his back, spread his thighs, and rushed towards the top of the Yunhee River. Wow, so fast. Let's go, Pippi, come on. After an exciting torrent trip in the Sea of Clouds, Buggy and the others came to Baihai. Wow, it's so beautiful here, it's like heaven. The beach here is made of clouds. Soft. Breathe, I can't breathe, give me oxygen. It's amazing, even the sea is made of clouds. Unexpectedly, there really are islands in Yinshang. Buggy stood on the deck, rubbing his chin. Gonfall, the old man who calls himself God, should still be there, right? The last time I came with the captain and the others, he was in his prime, and he had a good chat with the captain. At that time, I wanted to take the big bell, but the captain asked me to take it myself later. I still remember that the island is full of gold, it must be worth 100 billion pelli. Take it all away. My Buggy is the richest hunter in the world in no time, ha ha ha, what a gorgeous transformation. Buggy was thinking. Wow, there was a sound like a baby crying. What? The crew members were terrified and looked around. Buggy looked up to the sky. A strange bird flew down from the sky onto the side of the ship, and riding on it was a man in armor with a knight's gun in his hand. Outsiders, don't approach the Holy Land anymore. Gonfall. Buggy recognized the old man, mainly because he recognized the old man's mount. When he said bad things about Gonfall, he was bitten by it turning into a horse. The strange bird was called Pierre. It is Sky Island's unique bird, Sky Point bird, Zone Mama Fruit Pegasus form ability user. Gonfall pulled back his mask and looked at Buggy suspiciously. Who are you? No, the old man. Buggy quickly said, it's me, Buggy. 20 years ago, I came to Sky Island with the captain and drank with you, have you forgotten? 20 years ago. Oh, Gonfall thought about it. He suddenly remembered, pointed at Buggy, and said, ah, it's you. That naughty little red-nosed kid on the Roger Pirate's boat. I still remember that there is another one like you. Big red-haired kid, what's his name? Child, naughty and crying. Red nose. A black line appeared on Buggy's forehead, and he said, call me Buggy, what a red nose, be careful I'll cut you off. Also, don't mention that guy Shanks in front of me. Buggy broke the defense and cursed. The crew opened their mouths wide and looked at Buggy as if they had heard some great news. Buggy, the Roger pirates he was talking about, wouldn't it be, One Piece, Roger? Montbron Kulik asked with staring eyes. Is it him? That's right. Buggy crossed his arms and said, I used to be a member of the Roger Pirates too. Unexpectedly, Boss Buggy is on the same boat as that kind of legendary person. The crew members were amazed. So, Shanks, wouldn't it be, the fourth emperor of the New World, the red-haired Shanks? That's right, he is the guy the first hate the most. We didn't fight when we were on the boat. Buggy snorted coldly, and said, HMPH, so what if he becomes the four emperors now? I'm the man who wants to be the treasure king. Well, Roger has really become the One Piece, is he okay? Gonfall asked. Buggy shook his head and said, the captain is dead. Really? He was an admirable man, so he died. Gonfall sighed. He still remembers that man, bold and heroic, listening to everything. In this case, what do you want to do when you come to Sky Island? Gonfall asked warily. I want to fulfill the captain's promise and come to take away my gold. Also, this guy wants to find the Sandia family and complete a promise made by their ancestors. Buggy pointed to an excited Montbron Kulik. See Sky Island in person. He already believed that his ancestors were not liars, and that was quite enough. Gold. Gonfall shook his head and said, you're late. What do you mean, old man, you don't want to monopolize the gold, do you? Buggy asked. No. Gold, which is quite precious to you, is nothing more than a handful of soil to us Sky Islanders. If you want gold, it's okay to give it to you. It's just that all the gold in the Holy Land, Zhao Mahao, has been taken away by God Enel. God, Enel. Buggy wondered. Hey, old man, aren't you a god? What is that Enel? I am no longer a god, and now the one occupying the shrine is a man named Enel. Half a year ago, Enel destroyed his hometown Burka, came here, defeated me, became the new god, and ruled the Holy Land. I'm here to prevent you from boarding Appa. Enel is a cruel god. The power he possesses makes him almost equal to a true god-like omnipotent being. Stop joking, how can there be any god in the world? Buggy said viciously. Anyone who dares to rob gold from the hunter Buggy is even a god, and he will not forgive him. Gonfall reminded. He is a Logia Thunder Fruit ability user, he is on Sky Island, and he knows everything. Omniscient. What do you mean? The fat woman asked. It's the power to listen to the conversations of all people within a certain range. Conqueror said. Perhaps our conversation now has already been known to him. Listen to the conversation. Observation Haki. Kuina became interested, her eyes lit up, and she said happily, it seems that he is a good opponent. She just graduated from Gion, and her first opponent is a strong Logia who is good at knowledge and sex. It's a perfect time to test my armor color, Kuina thought. Apayado. Inside the shrine, Enel reclined seemingly slack. He was shirtless, wearing knickerbockers and bare feet with rings on his toes. Wear a white turban. The earlobes are long and have pendants. There are 4 daguliong engraved with 3 go jade on the back. He has a gold ring on his hand and holds a golden scepter. He opened his eyes and heard Yunhai's conversation. Yahahaha, it seems that people from the Blue Ocean have come to the island again, the magic team, go and get rid of them. Chapter 132 God's Trial, Sky Island, the Thriving Kuina. See Circle Calendar 1515. Sky Island. Under Enel, there is a magic army. If you want to defeat him, you must first defeat those guys. Gonfall said. How strong are they? Kuina asked. Conqueror said in shame. Everyone is equal to me, or even better than me. Because they all have the power of the hard net, it's very troublesome. Buggy pinched his chin and said, Is that all? Xinhuang, also known as Observation Haki. How to put it, he is Buggy, and he is also a man who has awakened the color of knowledge. In addition, Kulik, the orangutan, Masla, and the cadres under his command, as well as Kuina and the others. Okay. The odds are great. Then, go attack Enel and get back the treasure. Oh. Buggy came to Angel Island, took a boat with wind shells on the island, and set off for Apayado Island of the Gods. Kulik asked Gonfall about the situation of Apayado. I learned that the island with soil was washed to the Sky Island by a huge current 400 years ago. Right. Time. The ancestors really didn't lie. It turns out that it didn't fall into the bottom of the sea, but reached the sky. Kulik burst into tears. Kuina looked at the shell, pressed the switch, and the sound of music wafted out of it. The shellfish on Sky Island are exceptional. It can be released again by storing a substance. According to the different substances stored, there are different shells, which have different uses. As long as the shell itself is not damaged, it can be used all the time. It is equivalent to a semi-permanent existence. In Kuina's hand is a sound shell, which can record and play sound, as a tool for conveying information or entertainment. In addition, there are lamp shells, which can emit light for a period of time, and can also emit light by themselves, which can be used as indoor lighting tools. Water shells can store water. The video shell can record and play video, and it is used for guarding and monitoring at the entrance of Sky Island. Cloud shell, which can eject the unique cloud of Sky Island, cannot be used when returning to land. Flame shells can be stored and sprayed out later. And so on. These shellfish have a wide range of uses, such as building houses, vehicles, and cooking. Kuina has studied with Leno and Gion successively. Although she focuses on kendo, she still has a unique vision. In her opinion, the value of these shellfish may be higher than that of gold. Gold is not sustainable. These shellfish can be cultivated from generation to generation and continue to bring benefits. The wind shell installed on the ship moved forward despite the movement. Soon, an island with soil that does not belong to Sky Island appears in front of you. There are 500 towering ancient trees and dense forests. Tall trees. Such a forest cannot grow in 1,000 years, right? Everyone was amazed. No, this island only appeared on Sky Island 400 years ago. Ganfort said. It wasn't originally something from Sky Island, but it was washed up into the sky by a huge ocean current. The people of Sky Island who have never seen Bath see it as a gift from the gods, our God's sanctuary. Kuina looked around. She has already heard a lot of useful information from Gonfall through chatting. Gion taught her not only swordsmanship, but also the way of survival, including intelligence and other aspects of knowledge. Look at the front, it's the entrance. Forest entrance. A door, burning with flames. Doors are constructed with shield weapons and skulls. Goo goo. The weird sound from the forest added a touch of gloom to the surrounding atmosphere. It's really interesting. Under the terrifying atmosphere, the fat woman was very happy, her mouth was split open, revealing a set of sharp teeth. She is 3 meters tall and tulili. She is a hybrid of a murloc and a human, good at swimming, and possesses the great power of a murloc. The weapon is a huge dog-leg knife, the curved blade at the front is as big as a tabletop, and the sharp serrations glow with a cold light. Lily is one of Kuina's friends in Sabayati Archipelago. She is very capable and obsessed with various horror stories. Once they pass the entrance, drive into the forest. Look, what's ahead? Ah, it's an axe, a big one swinging around. Damn, can't stop, seeing the axe getting closer and closer. Leave it to me. Lily grabbed the dogleg knife and jumped up, shaking the boat. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, she swung the knife and chopped all the huge axes in front of her to pieces. Crash. A huge bullhead fish rushed out of the river and bit Lily. Boom. Lily has a tall body, but she is extremely flexible. She turned around and kicked sideways, and kicked the huge bullhead fish away. That's it. It's too boring. Buggy smiled smugly, leaning on the organization with his back. It's just cool, he doesn't need him at all, Mr. Buggy. If there is anything to do, just let the younger brother do it. Don't be careless, this is just the beginning. 4 reminded. There are 4 doors ahead, what are those? Kulik asked. They lead to different trials of the gods, the trial of iron, the trial of rope, the trial of the ball, the trial of the swamp. Abba, hey, Gump Fall, which one is easiest? Buggy between. Gon Foer said. Different trials, different opponents, they are all very difficult to deal with. Best, choose one. At this time, when Kuina and Buggy stepped into the island of gods, Enel noticed them. Then he sent his 4 god-tier officers to sit in the trial. They actually took the initiative to break into God's trial. What did they think of God? Gatas, who was in charge of the trial of the swamp, felt disdainful. Choose the trial of rope. Let us punish them with our own hands. Shira, who was in charge of the rope trial, spoke arrogantly. Evil originated from ignorance. Daigo Mori, who was in charge of the trial of the ball, let out a strange laugh. If you want to be safe and sound, you can't act in heaven defying. Who is in charge of the iron trial, is compassionate. Choose one. That's too boring. Let's separate, Lily said. Kuina nodded. Yes, what? Buggy stares. Gunfall froze. Trial of iron. I'll take this, Kuina said. Kulik clenched his fists, full of energy, and said, the trial of the ball. It's very interesting. Buggy squeezed his chin. This is a chance to prove himself, said, I choose the rope trial. Gonfall said. Then, the rest of the trials in the swamp belong to the old man. The team split up and went to different cloud rivers. Cloud Shinobi Village, a village not far from the island of the gods. This is the place where the Sandia lived secretly after being driven out of Apayado by the Sky Island people. The Sandia people are the Aborigines who were washed to Sky Island by a huge ocean current along with Apayado. The Sky Islanders fought for the soil and defeated them. The warriors in the village are training. Since being kicked out of Apayado. For more than 400 years, the Shandians have been at war with the Sky Islanders. The ranks of their warriors, known as guerrilla. After so many years of war, the population of Cloud Shinobi Village has declined to less than 1,000 people. And there are not many who can become guerrilla fighters. There are less than 30 guerrillas now. But they all have unique ways of fighting, and their fighting power is quite impressive. The current captain of the guerrilla is a descendant of Karl Gala, a great warrior of the Sandia people 400 years ago. He is known as Weber of War Ghost. He inherited the last wish of his ancestors and was brave and good at fighting. Sworn to take back Apayado. Go back to where your ancestors lived. Weber, a guerrilla. Soldier hurried back and interrupted Weber's training. Did something happen? While I was on patrol, I found a group of Blue Sea people who broke into Trial of God. Blue Ocean people. Those greedy guys. No matter if he was from Sky Island or Qinghai, Uncle Wei didn't like him. However, this is an opportunity to defeat the Shenbing team. The great warrior Karl Gera said that it is our mission to light the lamp of Shandora. Go and meet the chief. Although Weber is the captain of the guerrilla, major events in the village still require the consent of the chief. Outside the chief's residence, a woman was playing with a 4 or 5-year-old girl. Webb wasn't even close. The little girl seemed to have sensed it in advance, and suddenly hid behind the woman and said to the woman, Lackey, Weber is here. The woman was not surprised by this, and gently rubbed the little girl's head, saying, Aisha, Weber is a very good person. The little girl stuck out her tongue and said, No, he is scarier than God. Like a ghost. Weber came over, glanced at the little girl, and said to Lackey, as the chief inside. Okay. Lackey nods. The priest in charge of the rope trial is the Heaven Knight, Shira, which symbolizes the anger, sorrow and joy. The survival rate of this trial is 3%. When a boat sailed into his territory along the Cloud River, he knew it immediately. Struggle. Like insects caught in a net, you will never escape my palm. Shira wears an aviator hat and goggles. Riding a rare bird that inhabits Sky Island, the Sanjong bird, walks through the forest like a ghost in the forest. Buggy and his party take a boat along the Cloud River. Hey, do you feel it? What? The speed of the boat seems to be getting slower and slower. Buggy looked around and said, Strange, the river is still running, why did the boat stop? Let's get off the boat and have a look. Step off the boat. What happened? I can't move, I seem to be caught by something. Suddenly, some crew members kept walking and stopped in place. At this time, others were also surprised and said, I can't seem to move. Hula. A black shadow cast in the sky. Everyone looked up. I saw Shira riding a 3-foot bird sliding past and landing on a thick tree trunk. Seeing the crew members caught in a dilemma, Shira laughed and said, Haha, what a bunch of idiots, they walked in like this without taking any precautions, knowing that it was a trial by rope. Could it be the rope? That's right. This area is covered with countless rather small rope clouds, which are difficult to discern with the naked eye, but extremely tough. Anyone who breaks in unprepared will be entangled by the rope cloud without realizing it, and will be unable to move in the end, and will be cut by me. Facing the prey that fell into the trap, Shiro was not in a hurry to act. Just like when a cat catches a mouse, it will play tricks. He proudly. Let us introduce the special features of Trial of Rope. Shungyan. Is that so? Buggy's eyes lit up. Torn apart. Buggy, caught in the big net woven by the rope cloud, was scattered into more than a dozen pieces at once, as if torn apart by the rope. What? Shiro was shocked. How did this guy divide into more than a dozen pieces? Your rope cloud won't work against me. Buggy laughed. Boss Buggy. Sharp. As expected of a Buggy. 8 throwing knives appeared in Buggy's 2 palms floating in the air. Fragmented clown throwing knife. Joker's Buggy bomb. The trial of the ball. In the forest covered with cloud balls. Priest Mori Daigo is in charge of the trial of the ball, with a survival rate of 10%, symbolizing joy, enjoy, anger, sorrow and joy. Hee hee, ha ha. Thank you for choosing my trial of the ball. If you want to move forward, just beat me. Daigo Mori stood on the ball cloud and danced. What he faced was the Ape Mountain United Army composed of Mengbron Kulik, Masra, Orangutan and others. Your fighting style is these ball clouds that hide surprises, right? Kulik glanced. Ah, as long as you don't touch them. Masla let out a long ape cry. The orangutan laughed and said, let's play dodgeball. It's not difficult at all. The trial of the swamp. The priest in charge is Gatas Sheng. The survival rate is 50%, it symbolizes the joy in the joy of anger. He wears a slim purple outfit and has spider foot hair. What's even weirder is that the coordination of his whole body is out of order. Often due to eye rolls, enemies cannot be seen. When you think about the enemy in your heart, but forget to make a sound, forget to breathe, etc., you often need to be reminded by others. Therefore, beside him, there was also a personal attendant. Gon Fall skimmed low. The trial of iron. Wearing sunglasses, sits on top of his big dog, Holly. He looked at Kuina and his group who had come to the range of the iron trial, showing a look of compassion. Too many ignorant people in the world died in ignorance, it's too sad. To eliminate such ignorance, let me kill you all. I am the priest of Trial of Iron with a survival rate of 0%, You don't want to escape. Huh, what are you talking about? Who's running away? Ohm's face darkened, and he said, come on, Holly, let's have a big fight. With Ohm's order, he sat up with a big dog and stood up, showing a ferocious expression. Oh, this dog is so big, I don't know if the meat is good or not. Lily looked at the big dog drooling. Holly sweated on his forehead, and then punched Lily angrily. Boom. She jumped up and avoided Holly's punch. I saw that the place where she stood before had been punched into a big hole. Amazing. It's called Holly. Ohm said. Beforehand, I am open black lens bracket Kang Tien animal priest close black lens bracket. I let my animal receive strict training. After it learned to walk upright, I also taught it how to punch. You can experience it to your heart's content. Let's go. How interesting. Leave it to me. Lily held a dogleg knife and fought with Holly. Ohm draws the knife, holds the knife in his left hand and the knife case in his right hand. A swordsman from Sky Island. Kuina had already noticed the knife Ohm was holding, and stepped forward, and the others naturally dispersed when they saw it. Click. Suddenly, under Kuina's footsteps, a wire suddenly appeared and slapped towards her. Kuina jumped lightly. Avoid the barbed wire with iron thorns that appeared on the ground. Is this the iron trial? That's right. That's Tai Yun. Ohm patiently explained. As light as clouds, as hard as iron, blown out with cloud shells, they interact with the ground, and they will be launched as long as you step on them. In this territory, no matter when and where, as long as you touch the agency, you will be attacked. Is it iron cloud? Kuina swiped forward, a flat scratch appeared on the ground, and the iron wire blocking the front broke together. He looked at Kuina with a look of surprise. Just now, Kuina didn't draw the knife at all, just swiped casually. This attack power is scary, right? Incredible. Chapter 133 Kill Enel. Kuina gets Logia Thunder Fruit. Kuina's slash surprised Priest Ohm. Are you a demon fruit power? Kuina didn't answer him, but instead said, you are the swordsman of Sky Island, right? Let me see the swordsmanship of Sky Island. What an arrogant blue ocean man. Veins appeared on Ohm's forehead, and he lifted the long knife in his hand, and slashed towards Kuina. Call out. The blade of the long knife in his hand suddenly extended, splitting through the ruined walls along the way, approaching in an instant. Kuina turned sideways, but found that the blade was like a flexible lion majesty, turning in one direction and still coming towards her. Iron whip. Seeing Kuina dodging around, Ohm sneered and said, it's useless. My knife is also Tai Yun. Its blade, you can use the shell inlaid on the handle to add iron clouds. Keep chasing the enemy. Kuina stopped, facing the oncoming whip-like blade, neither dodging nor dodging until the blade came to, in front of him. The blade made of iron cloud was grasped by a palm, unable to move forward. What? I caught it empty-handed. Ohm was shocked and his eyes were about to pop out. Tai Yun's sword is extremely sharp. Hard stone for smooth cuts with ease. She actually grasped it firmly with her soft palm. What is that black one? Ohm has never met such an opponent. Swordsman of Sky Island, this level. Kuina was a little disappointed. Ohm's strength was not as good as her friend's, so she directly raised her sword. Laugh. Jonbo flew out. Iron embankment. Iron wall. The long knife in Ohm's hand turned into a very hard cube and stood in front of him. Pooh. Jonbo cut the white iron cloud wall like cutting tofu. Where the sword wave fell, blood floated up. A bloody mouth appeared on Priest Ohm's shoulder. In the shrine of Apayado, Enel showed surprise on his face. Their voices have disappeared. What a bunch of unlucky guys. The loser is not qualified to continue to follow God. However, because you have served me for so long, I will avenge you. God's Majesty, don't offend. Which group of people should we deal with first? Someone can come here, the people of the Shinbing team are really trash. Enel looked towards the door of the shrine. Laugh. The next moment, the door was cut open. Kuina walks into the shrine. Who are you? How dare you break into the shrine? The sudden appearance of the person startled the members of the divine soldiers guarding the shrine first. Then comes anger. Without hesitation, he shot at Kuina who walked in. One sword style Ranbu. Kuina slightly drew the knife. In an instant, Dao lights fluttered like wind blades. Puff puff. The sword slashed, and all the magic soldiers fell to the ground. Hiss. So strong. The others were frightened and did not dare to go forward. Kuina looked at Enel and said, You are their god. Enel. Bold, who are you, dare to call God's name directly? Accept the punishment. There is a fat man in front of Enel. His body is as strong as an iron tower, and his fat body soars into the air. Full score punch. Boom. Air burst. The fat man punched Kuina with great momentum. Kuina directly raised his hand to meet him with a knife. Laugh. The knife shines like snow. Click. The sound of bone cracking sounded. The fat man's arms flew up. The bones of the elbow were densely cut off, and the blood drenched away. What? He screamed. Kuina spun around and kicked his body away. He's like a sack that has lost gravity. It slammed into the palace behind Enel, breaking the thick wooden pillars and falling a large amount of rubble. Soldier commander. The god soldiers exclaimed. The other two ball-shaped guys had already taken a few steps. After seeing the miserable situation of the fat man, they stopped walking almost at the same time, and jumped to a horse vigilantly. The performance of his subordinates made Enel's eyelids twitch, but he was still calm. This is his demeanor as a god. He looked at Kuina and said, I am a god, Enel. Mortal, are you here to challenge me? Mortal, what an arrogant, celestial dragons-like guy. Challenge. Kuina said flatly. That's a challenge. Challenge God. You really have courage. Enel didn't make a move right away. In his heart network perception, he didn't feel too much anger, resentment, timidity, fear and other emotions from Kuina, but it was like a calm ocean without waves at all. This calmness aroused Enel's interest. You are very good, become my slave, as a witness, go to the kingdom of God with me. Enel invites. Kingdom of God. Enel looked fanatical, and said, That's right, the kingdom of God. The boundless land. According to the records, it is the hometown of gods, and there are countless baths, soil, and that is the place where gods should live. And I, possessing the power to destroy the world of God, am destined to become the existence of God. Kuina looked calm. She saw a lot of psychopaths like Enel in Sabayati archipelago who fantasized all day long. Pointing her knife away, she said, What is the boundless land, the kingdom of God? I have no interest at all, I just came to defeat you. Yahahaha, how can a god be defeated by people? Just let you see my strength. Rice wife. Enel laughed, raised his finger to Kuina, his wrist turned into thunder, and a sky blue arc shot out. Observation Haki. Perception. Kuina caught Enel's attack and swayed slightly. The arc was in a straight line, passing by her. Boom. The electric spark exploded. 7 or 8 members of the Shinbing team were covered in smoke and fell to the ground. The other members retreated after seeing them. This is no longer a battle they can get involved in. Don't talk about meddling. Even if they were watching, something would happen. Enel started to be ruthless, but even his own subordinates would be killed. You know the internet. Enel frowned seeing Kuina dodging his attack calmly. Kuina raised the knife and slashed. Brush. Jonbo tore the ground. No matter how you call it, my heart network is definitely the strongest. Enel's figure flashed and disappeared in place. Kuina's sword wave swept across, splitting the palace of the gods and dividing it into 2 halves. Arcing. Enel's thunder light appeared beside Kuina, raising his right hand. God's punishment. His wrist released a dark blue thick electric light, like a spear, and instantly came to Kuina. Boom. The thunder rumbled, and the electric light exploded, dazzling and dazzing. No one can bear the punishment of God. Enel laughed. His laughter stopped abruptly. In the thunder light, A figure sprang out, entwined with a black aura, came suddenly, and the knife light flickered sharply. Enel could have avoided the knife. But out of the arrogance of God and confidence in his own strength, he stood where he was and did not evade at all. Stupid mortal, I am a Logia thunder fruit capable person, you can't hurt me. Enel smiled confidently. His body is elemental, like scattered lightning. Puff. Where Kuina's sharp blade fell, blood surged up, and the confident Enel was stunned, and his body separated. Pain. Severe pain, sweeping consciousness. Enel looked at the other body, splattered with blood, in disbelief. He is hurt. He was split in half. Die. What about the elementalization of Logia? Enel's upper body fell to the ground, and the scene was so bloody and cruel that even Kuina was stunned. Why didn't he escape? Probably, similar to those Marines who like to use iron body to force other people's big moves, they are too confident. No, I am a god, how could I die? Enel howled. He tried to regain his body. But the injury was too serious. He was nearly cut in half. With massive blood loss and pain, Enel can no longer be elementalized, and devil fruit is abandoning him. After a brief struggle, Enel turned over, stared at the moon in the sky, reached out his hand to grab it, halfway out, and slipped to the ground. Die with peace. God, dead. The divine soldiers who had already scattered around the shrine, avoiding the battlefield, and the attendants in the shrine all opened their mouths wide. Everyone, looking at Enel who was broken in two and died in a pool of blood, couldn't help but exclaimed. Almost popped his eyes out. Bah, God, killed. The magic soldiers shouted wildly without losing money. How powerful was Enel to them, but he was hacked to death in a few strokes. Too terrifying. They looked at the beautiful Kuina and swallowed. The eyes are fear. Kuina sheathed the knife. Killing Enel, she has no psychological burden. For 4 years, Kuina passed many vicious pirates on the Sabayati archipelago. She is no longer that innocent child in Shimotsuki village. Is Enel a good guy? Of course not. He destroyed his hometown, Burka Island, and killed an unknown number of people. Among those people, there must be many children. When they came to Angel Island, many people were killed. He is exactly the same as those disgusting celestial dragons, killing him is killing the people. The knife was inserted into the sheath, and Kuina's mood also calmed down. Pity. This opponent is weak. Not weak. But he seems to have never encountered a decent opponent, he is too arrogant, if he is more cautious, it will be difficult to deal with. Kuina turned and glanced away. Within sight. Thump. The shivering Shinbing team knelt down in unison and shouted. Greetings, Master Shinshin. Zero. Seeking flowers. Quote. At the door, Buggy, Gonfall, Lily and the others came after the battle. Seeing this scene, Chi-Chi was surprised. Huh. Okay. Gonfall saw Enel's body, and his mouth opened wide in shock. Enel is dead. How come? So fast. Open black lens bracket trial of the ball close black lens bracket field. The guerrillas led by the Sandian Weber came when they heard the constant explosions. Meng Bron Kulik, Masra, and the orangutan were having a great time playing with Mori Daigo in the forest. After Weber and others joined, they quickly solved Daigo Mori. Then, Weber raised his weapon and aimed it at Kulik. Blue Ocean people, what are you doing here? Get out of our holy place. Kulik was very excited, and said, You are from Sandia, Karl Gala. Weibo was vigilant and asked, Who are you? Kulik took a deep breath and said, I am Mengbron Kulik. 400 years ago, my ancestor Mengbron Nolindo once arrived at the island of your ancestors and left behind a promise. Now, instead of the ancestors, I will complete that agreement. Lackey was surprised and asked, Are you a descendant of Nolindo? The other team members were pleasantly surprised. Although Weibo was shocked, he was still vigilant, and said, What evidence do you have? Kulik solemnly took out his pocket, and took out a sharp and thick tooth inside. It is the tooth of the Kasi god worshipped by your ancestors. After my ancestors killed it, the great warrior Karl Gera gave it to Nolindo. Weber took the snake fang, shaking his hands. Kulik tells the story of Nolindo being executed as a liar by the king because he could not find the Golden Land. Point 0. Weber also told how his family wanted to take back Apayado for 400 years, and worked hard to fulfill the agreement with Nolindo. After confirming the eyes, each other is the person the other is waiting for. Nolindo and Weber clasped hands together, and then embraced heavily, completing the 400-year delayed agreement. Woo touching. Masla and the orangutan brothers hugged each other and cried loudly. Brief pleasantries. Weber said solemnly, Kulik, this is not a place to talk, there is a person on the island who claims to be a god. Suddenly, a strange bird call came. Pierre. Weber looked up. Gonfor rode Pierre, flew into the air, saw Weber and the others, and said, Sandians, God Enel is dead. What? Is Enel dead? Weber and the gorillas were shocked. Speaking of which, something is really wrong, it's incredible that there hasn't been a thunderstorm after landing on the island for so long. The news that Kuina beheaded the open black lens bracket god close black lens bracket spread rapidly under the report of Gonfoer all the way. The high pressure and thunder rule that Enel brought to people suddenly dissipated. People from Angel Island, Cloud Shinobi Village. They all went out to celebrate. Buggy and his friends found the ancient ruins, Shandora, and found the gold scattered in the ruins. Ha ha ha. I declare that I, Buggy, am the hunter with the most gold in the world, ha ha ha. Buggy lay rolling in the pile of gold. Kuina found the blueprint of the Ark Proverbs, left by Enel, and saw its huge keel. A ship built of gold, powered by thunder fruit, that can travel to the moon of the expanse. 2 days later, when Lily was hunting open Black Lens Bracket Lord of Sky close Black Lens Bracket in the forest, she found thunder fruit in the grass. She gave the thunder fruit to Kuina. After a little hesitation, Kuina ate Logia thunder fruit. Powerful devil fruit, a huge increase in personal strength. Gion cannot become admiral without magnetic fruit. Kendo doesn't need to stick to the form, the sword in the heart is the real sword. Kuina's comprehension of one heart sword's talent has long been different from what it used to be. Yixin Liu's Kendo doesn't care about moves at all, and pays more attention to the cultivation of sword heart and will. Lightning flashed from Kuina's body. Eyes flashed with arcs. He raised his hand and slashed out with a knife, and with a flash of thunder, he directly tore a large crack in the ground with a smooth cut. Without a doubt, Kuina, who has acquired Logia Thunder Fruit, mastered two-color Haki, and Sword Master. The strength reaches the strong Vice Admiral level. Defeat Enel for Thunder Fruit and Kuina for the awe of the people of Sky Island. Help Meng Bron Kulik reach Sky Island, complete the ancestral agreement, Kuina is respected by the Sandia. After the talks between the two sides, they jointly elected Kuina and became Kong Kong, God, assisted by Gon Fuer and the chief of the Sandia. Kuina didn't refuse. She learned a lot from Gion. The individual and the collective, the two forces are equally powerful, are truly powerful. Kuina's development in Sky Island received great support from Leno, and even Dr. Eugian was sent to Sky Island. 2 years later, see Circle Calendar 1517. Kuina, Buggy and the others took the Ark Proverbs, came to the Boundless Land, and landed on the surface of the moon. Chapter 134 Kuina's Journey to the Moon, I Am and Joey Boye. Infinite Land. Looking out of the window. The moon is dead and silent, as far as the eye can see, it is all bare earth, no plants, no animals, no water. However, lit candles can burn outside. There is oxygen here. Moreover, the oxygen here is more sufficient than the journey after leaving Apayado. Fortunately, everyone was well prepared. Use wind shells to store a lot of air, as well as oxygen bottles. Otherwise, everyone estimated that they would die from lack of oxygen before reaching the moon. Can't wait to open the hatch and set foot on the Boundless Land. Ha ha ha, this is the Boundless Land. Buggy laughed. Lily recorded this historic scene with video files. Ah, this is the moon we see from the ground. Kulik stepped on the ground. He took a deep breath, slightly disappointed. From the blue sea, the moon is very beautiful. But after setting foot, only then will I realize that this place is like a desert. Kulik looked up. Can see a blue planet, hanging in the sky. However, from the blue sea, the moon hangs in the sky, and from the moon, the blue sea hangs in the sky, what a wonderful feeling. Kulik pulled out his camera phone bug and took a photo. Moon. Dr. Eugian sighed. He is kind-hearted, wearing a kimono, with a samurai sword on his waist, and has a long bald head, like a slippery ghost. When he was in Blue Ocean, he was a friend of the scientist Vegapunk. However, compared to Vegapunk's teeth-pulling, Dr. Tsukimi is better at mechanics. After all, Vegapunk is a Paramesha brain fruit ability user, who can store a large amount of data, 510, and has opened a plugin. Dr. Eugian is not as buggy as him, but also very powerful. After Frankie joined the Hunters Guild, he got his advice and was able to make rapid progress in the aircraft project. Dr. Eugian loves watching the moon most. He restored the ancient technology and made 4 small robots in the mechanical island. Speth, Cosmo, Galaxy, Macro. 4 little robots, with their own consciousness, can speak and think. They can also obtain energy through food. Except for the metal body, it is no different from a human being. At this time, Dr. Eugian took them, holding tools such as wrenches, and fiddled with a machine. It was a phone bug booster. The size of the phone bug is different, and the signal transmission distance will also be different. The phone bug signal booster is the research product of the mechanical island. It can amplify the signal of the phone bug, greatly increasing the signal transmission distance of the phone bug. It is so complicated, but the principle is actually very simple. Just like a trumpet, the human voice is only amplified. The signal of the phone bug is, in essence, the voice of the phone bug. Use auxiliary tools to connect the phone bug with the signal transmitter. Dr. Eugian started to contact the hunter base in Apayado. While Dr. Eugian was fiddling with the machine, Kuina, Buggy, Lily, Kulik, Weber and others began to spread out to explore the moon. There seemed to be a lot of big pits here. Was it formed by meteorite impact? Kulik asked suspiciously. Webb knelt down and grabbed a handful of soil. On Sky Island, the soil is called base, which means the most precious thing, but here, it's everywhere. Suddenly, Uncle Wei jumped into the big pit. Anything? Kulik asked. Weber scraped away the soil. Pull out a half-round wooden handle from the inside. At first glance, it is not natural, but something that has been polished by people. This crater doesn't seem to be formed by meteorite impact, but was excavated manually. Excavated? Could it be that there are people living on the planet? Kulik was surprised. Maybe. Aisha seems to have said that there are some murals of moon people in the unearthed Shandora ruins. Weber said. After Sky Island was developed, Robin heard about the ruins of Shandora and arrived at Sky Island. She has a good relationship with the little girl Aisha among the Sandia people, who was born with a sense of awakening. After Elsa learns something from Robin, she always brags to Lackey about it. Naturally, Weber also listened to a lot. At that time, he was just talking nonsense like a child and didn't take it seriously, but now holding a half-wooden handle, he believed it a little bit. Boom. At this time, there was an explosion. Weber and Kulik immediately jumped out of the pit and rushed to the place where the sound came from. I saw Kuina, Buggy, and Lily surrounded by a fallen stranger. It wore a tall top hat with crossbones drawn on it, and a thick iron armor over it. There is also a chronograph-like instrument on the armor. What's the matter? Is it the moon people? Weber asked in surprise. Buggy said. I don't know. When he came here, he suddenly jumped out and attacked us. Huh, there are footsteps. Lily looked up and looked to the other side of the hill. The next moment, a group of strangely dressed guys with guns emerged from the hillside. A moonman. Startled, Buggy sticks out his tongue. When those guys saw their fallen companions, they immediately became angry, babbled, and raised their guns one after another. Chi 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 chi. A beam of light emerges from the muzzle of the gun. If Leno were here, he would find this kind of attack similar to Uranus. One-shot Reikiri. Kuina went straight to it. Draw the knife out of its sheath. Laugh. The sword wave was filled with thunder, and the knife fell, and the ground was cracked smoothly. Boom. Where the knife shines. Those guys huddled on the hillside were blown away by the blast wave and fell to the ground. Very weak. Kuina was surprised. Buggy and the others rushed out, and quickly knocked down all the guys who were still standing. That seems to be their base. Kuina took a glance out of the corner of her eye and saw the valley below the hillside, where tall scaffolding was built. Next to the scaffolding, there are also all kinds of weird machines, instruments, and blue snake-like monsters that walk upright. Are there still lunar people? Is it the lunar people's city? Should be just a camp, they seem to be digging something. Kuina saw huge machines drilling into the ground. Buggy's eyes glow. Treasure. Are you digging for treasure? Buggy couldn't wait, and said, hey, take it down, don't you know everything? Inside the camp, another group of guys with weapons came out. It's just that the strength is not very good, and it is about the same as the sailors of the East Blue Marine branch. It's almost effortless. This camp is occupied by Kuina and others. When interrogating these moonmen, listening to them chattering for a while, Buggy had a headache and said, what language do these guys speak? Let me come on. Communication is more than just words. Kulik has a lot of experience. As an adventurer, he often goes to some inaccessible places. And in those places there will be some primitive people who cannot understand the language. At this time, some special methods are needed. Kulik took a drawing board. Soon, through simple painting, Kulik got the answer. These guys are not moonmen, but space pirates. The purpose of their coming here is to excavate the remains of the once prosperous lunar civilization. Space pirates. Everyone was taken aback. Are there still pirates in the universe? Since there are blue seas, and deep in the starry sky, there are other races of life, so what's so strange? Is there an ocean in the universe? Of course there is no sea in the universe. It's just the vastness of the universe, like the ocean, Kulik said. So, they are sailing in the sea of stars, looking for all kinds of treasures, the group will be called pirates. Buggy couldn't help but said. I'm more interested in the moon relics they said, what's going on? Kulik communicated with the space pirates for a while. They said they followed the treasure map too. Under the surface of the moon, there are remnants of the once prosperous lunar civilization. Lunar relic. If you can get those ruins, there will be a powerful pirate group among them. These space pirates have just arrived on the moon, so they haven't dug it yet, but according to their detection, the ruins are nearby. Then let them dig. The space pirates who became captive started a new digging career. Kuina drove the Ark, Proverbs, to the camp. After a lot of trouble, Dr. Eugian finally connected with the Apayado base. It's just that the signal is not stable, so it's sold out. Kuina asked Buggy to report back to headquarters what they found on the moon. Leno learned about the situation on the moon and asked them to send back to him the words and languages used by those space pirates. A pirate in space. The text sent back surprised Robin. Because the characters used by space pirates are very similar to the historical texts engraved on extremely hard stones. With experience in translating historical texts, Leno and Luo quickly deciphered the text and language of space pirates. Kuina and the others on the moon also found the relic city, Burka, left by the moon people. Oh, so many robots. Just like Speth and Macro. Buggy is most excited about exploring ruins and digging for treasures. Burka, in the city. In addition to robots, there are also many weapons sealed, mainly laser weapons and robots, similar to Future Island. In addition, Kuina and the others found historical murals in the city. It records that the people on the moon had to build a huge ark to go to the Blue Sea because of the exhaustion of energy. Before leaving, they sealed up Burka, hoping to come back after replenishing enough energy. Drawings, blueprints, still blueprints, damn it, aren't there gems and gold? Ba complained. The treasures in this city are all kinds of incomprehensible words and books related to an. Even if its various technologies are 500 years ahead of the pirate world, they are still worthless in the eyes of Buggy. Weber stared at the mural. Kulik was interested. The content above seems to be connected with Sky Island and the Shandora ruins. At least 1,000 years ago, the people on the moon built an ark due to exhaustion of energy, and went to the Bye-Bye Sea. They built a stronghold on the White Sea, then explored down, and built Golden Village Shandora. So, you Sandians and Sky Islanders are both descendants of the moon people, so you have the same wings. Alagia. Through the history of murals on the moon, Robin finally sorted out everything. She goes to the book, adding the timeline. The lunar people brought super advanced technology to the primitive and backward blue ocean. They explored and excavated energy everywhere, which greatly affected the civilization and history of the islands in the Blue Sea. Even, they used technologies such as bloodline factors to create devil fruit and create different races. The people on the Blue Sea call them gods, and the ark carrying them to resist is Uranus. Because the shape of Uranus looked up from the ground like an upside-down D. This letter became a symbol of the huge kingdom, similar to the badge of the Hunters Guild, endowed with sacred meaning. Because Uranus is not suitable for sailing, in order to make it easier to travel between the islands in the Blue Sea. The Moonman also imitated the open black lens bracket Uranus close black lens bracket and created open black lens bracket Pluton close black lens bracket that can sail in the sea with wind and waves. Then, in order to explore the deep sea more conveniently, they used genetic technology to create sea kings, and at the same time implanted Pohantu into the Murloc royal family. A gene homologous to sea kings. These ethnic groups, in awe of the power of the moon people, call them creator, and serve them. 4.4. No doubt. The powerful Moonmen established a huge kingdom connecting the world and ruled the world. In order to better connect the world, they began to transform the blue ocean. First, Red Line was produced. It connects the world together. People from all over the world will live on the Grand Line, including Murlocs, fur tribes, and so on. Then, there's the Grand Line that can pass through the 4 seas and connect an island with a special magnetic field. If completed, it will be a high-speed waterway on the sea. But such a huge construction project will inevitably require a lot of manpower, material resources, and financial resources, which makes all ethnic groups miserable. Hundreds of years passed. The trading capital of Shandora, which supported the finances of the huge kingdom, was destroyed in a war. Open black lens bracket red line close black lens bracket relocation plan. Open black lens bracket grand line close black lens bracket the construction of the second half. Stalled due to lack of funds. At the same time, the countries in the world dominated by the giant kingdom could not bear the burden of heavenly gold, and began to unite to resist. Influenced by the huge kingdom that ruled the world began to split. Some hoped to return to the moon with all the resources and completely destroy the Blue Sea, led by IM who controls Uranus. Some of them want to stay in Blue Ocean and complete the Great Agreement with all races in the world, led by Joey Boy. Under the conflict of ideas between the two sides, the World War broke out. The person who wants to leave, stay and become the king of the world, what a joke. Leno couldn't help laughing. The 100-Year War, which was blank, was full of lies and drama. The world government built on these is naturally afraid that everything will be buried if the truth is leaked. Chapter 135 Ace escapes from prison, Spades become famous, Luffy goes to sea. See Circle Calendar 1517. Kuina landed on the moon and excavated the ancient city, Burka. She activated the entire city with lightning and won the allegiance of the robots in the city. The Hunter Guild flag began to fly on the moon. Buggy and others seized the spacecraft of the space pirates and incorporated those pirates. From the mouths of those pirates, they know the existence of another planet, which is the real hometown of the moon people. The lunar city, Burka, is just an outpost of another planet. Half a month later, Kuina returned to a Peyote on Sky Island with a large amount of technical materials and books sealed by open black lens bracket Burka close black lens bracket. Leno and Robin have been waiting on the island, planning to rebuild the ancient city of Peyote, Shandora. People from Sky Island and Sandia responded with great enthusiasm. Of course, rebuilding isn't retro. The designers of Sky Island, combined with Sky Island's technology, created a cloud capital, Shandora with Sky Island's characteristics. Leno and Robin began to decipher the materials and books that Kuina brought back. The above text is the same as the historical text, which belongs to the moon people, and currently only Leno and Robin know it. Kuina and Leno got together for a short time, brought a lot of living supplies, and drove open black lens bracket Proverbs close black lens bracket to the moon. Only her thunder fruit, Harrier Proverbs. The main work of translation, carried out by Robin. Leno needs to return to Blue Ocean from time to time to deal with the Hunter Guild affairs. It was a quiet time, nothing major happened. See Circle Calendar. In the first month of 1518, Robin gave birth to a daughter for Leno on Sky Island. Named Shara. Same month, East Blue, Calm Belt where the Grand Line meets. On an island, the base of the Atonement Battalion. After the day's hard mining, many people have already rested, because no one has ever escaped, and the guards on the island are quite relaxed. There is a rich iron-rich mine on the island, which is one of the mineral deposits 08 discovered by the Hunters Guild, exploring the Calm Belt. Under the darkness of night, the sky was cloudless, and the night was dark and windy. Click. There was a sound of unlocking the lock. Open it, Ace, Kabaji said. Call. Ace stood up, the flame suppressed by the sea stone filled his fingertips, and powerful power filled his body. After more than half a year of working as a miner, Ace's body is more robust than when he went to sea, showing muscle contours. Ace looked at the members of the escape team. He, Deus, S. Carl, Kabaji, Zango, Mochi, Lakey, 6 people and 1 lion. Is everything ready? All right, I've been waiting for half a year for this moment. Set off, several figures, field camp. Be careful, there are people ahead. Everyone hid behind a tree. A patrol passed by. Everyone continued to move forward, perfectly staggering with every light. If there is an accident, Ace is responsible for controlling it, and Zango's hypnosis technique can hypnosis the opponent. There is a canyon on the way, and Kabaji is flying Sioux Bridge. It can be seen that they are fully prepared to escape from prison. Surprisingly, they came to the outskirts of the Atonement camp. There's barbed wire ahead, it doesn't matter, rush over. Fire punch. Burning flames rose. Ace turns his arms into flames. Boom. Punch out. The super high temperature flame burned the barbed wire scalding hot, and it was easier to chop with a sword. Who? Ace's flames illuminated the night sky, and immediately attracted the attention of the guards on the island. Leave them alone, run, cried Deus. What's going on over there, go and see. Someone escaped. Catch them. Ace came all the way to the seaside and under the cliff, he drew out a raft made of wood and planks. It was a jailbreak tool that they painstakingly built quietly. This is Calm Belt. To escape from the island, the regiment is the beginning of the escape. Over there, someone is going to run. The guards came with torches, pulled the trigger and fired. Bang bang bang. There was a lot of gunfire. Immediately afterwards the alarm was sounded on the island. Carl brandished the shovel he had picked up by hand, blocked from left to right, and blocked the lacing bullets. Carl, let's go, don't get entangled with them, cried Deus. Carl and Deus immediately jumped on the raft and picked up the sleepy oar. Ace used his devil fruit ability as a driving force to push the raft towards the sea. Buzz. The roar sounded on the sea surface and the dazzling lights shone. 2 small ships on the sea quickly chased Ace and the others. What is that? Ace was surprised. He has never seen this kind of boat that can travel fast on the sea without sails. Deus shook his head. He didn't know there was such a thing on the island. I know, I heard that it is a ship powered by steam, like a sea train. It is still in the experimental development stage. Zangao said suddenly. Okay? Deus looked at him. There is a laboratory on the island. I have seen it when I went to work there. Zangao explained. Stop the Redeemer in front, if you run away again, we will open fire. The guards on the ship yelled through their trumpets. Hateful. Deus looked serious and said, what to do, their speed is too fast. Just grab their boat, that's the only way to do it. Bang bang bang. Bullets fly. The 2 sides quickly approached. Ace's body is elementalized and turned into a burning flame titan. Big flame fist. Ace punches. The bullet passed through his body, melted into molten iron, and dripped into the sea without causing him much damage. Have Ace blocking bullets in front. Deus, Carl, Kabaji and the others jumped onto the ship greater than and fought fiercely with the guards. The strength of the guards on the island is not bad. But in a hurry, they didn't organize a counterattack, and it was still not enough for Ace and the others who were like wolves and tigers. Ace destroys another pursuing ship with a fire fist. They drove the ship sent to the door and rushed to the deep sea. Elijah, Luwell is currently in charge of the operation of the headquarters. After she returned from Kale Bali, Leno sent Crow to West Blue to take charge of the West Blue division. Has anyone escaped from Calm Belt Iron Ore Island? Luwell's figure is tall, and compared to the past, she is more mature. She glanced at the list of escapees. Ace? Luwell remembered that he was captured by Leno himself. She contacts Leno. Has Ace escaped? It doesn't matter, let them be dealt with by those bounty hunters first. Although Leno caught Ace, he didn't pay much attention to it. Everything went according to the Hunters Guild procedure. Ace would run away, which was to be expected. Guys like him and Luffy were not safe people. Anyway, Garp has secretly entrusted someone to send 2 devil fruits as compensation for the losses caused by Ace. A Paramecia rust fruit, a Paramecia silent fruit. Among them, the fruit of silence was eaten by Bell Mel. Capturing the Fire Fist, Ace Gang is tentatively scheduled as an A-level task. 2 days later. On a deserted island off the Calm Belt, Ace wakes up on the beach, feeling the breeze and smiling. After escaping from the Atonement Camp, they were chased by super-large sea kings in the Calm Belt, lost their way while fleeing. Just off the Calm Belt. Suddenly there was a big storm, the small ship capsized in the storm, Ace and the others fell into the sea. Deuce, Deus Carl. Ace looked up, and Deus and Carl fell not far away, and further away were Kabaji, Mochi, Zango, and Lion Lakey. He ran to wake them up. Ace, are we still alive? Haha, of course he is still alive. Look, this is free air, Ace said happily. What is this place? Kabaji scratched his head and asked. Let me see. Deus took out a compass. I found that the pointer on it was shaking left and right, and it couldn't point to north and south at all, and it was even more difficult to distinguish the direction. Carl has seen more, and he was very surprised and said, it seems that this place is no longer East Blue. What, not East Blue? Ace is puzzled. That's right, it seems to be Grand Line C. The magnetic field of the Grand Line is fluctuating. If you want to move forward, you can only use the record pointer to record the magnetic field between the islands of the Grand Line. Hey, Grand Line, we're coming in. Zangao and Moki were shocked. So, is this the Grand Line? Great, Ace smiled happily. Carl shook his head and said helplessly, it's not good at all, the climate of the Grand Line is complex and changeable. Maybe it was sunny 1 second and a blizzard the next, and we couldn't sail with just a few of us. We need to find a navigator, but there's no way we're going to get out of here without a log pointer. Ace grinned. Don't worry, Carl, we even escaped from Calm Belt, are we afraid that there will be nowhere to go? Maybe we can go to the island and look for it. Zango looked towards the dense forest on the island. That's the only way. I hope there are people on the island, Deus said. Not long after Ace and the others went deep into the jungle, a large ship flying the pirate flag came towards the coast. On deck, the pirates. He has a long brown beard tied into 3 parts, wears open clothes and a 3-cornered hat. Whoa whoa. Is this the island on the treasure map where part of the treasure of Captain John, one of the former 4 emperors, is buried? After the death of Captain John, one of the 4 emperors, his treasure is in doubt. It is rumored that he wanted to take the treasure for himself, but was killed by his subordinates. However, there are also rumors that before he was killed by his subordinates, he hid a fortune that was incomparably rich. With the stability of the world situation these years, the position of the 4 emperors is stable, and many pirates began to search for various treasures. Captain John's treasure has become one of the 873 dreams, pursued by countless pirates under rumors one after another. Yes, Captain T-Beard. Here it is. The crew next to him smiled obsequiously. Whoa whoa. T-Beard laughed. The pirate group came to the beach, and someone found footsteps on the beach. What? Someone came first. The T-Beard said loudly. How dare you covet my treasure, little ones, go and catch them. Yes, Captain T-Beard, whoa, no one can take away T-Beard's treasure. Soon, Ace and the others encountered the crew of the T-Beard pirates. A big battle broke out between the 2 sides, last Ace. One gang wins. They snatched the T-Beard pirates' ships, record pointers, and various supplies, and formally established the Spades Pirates. With the power of Logia Mera Mera fruit, the Spades Pirates quickly made a name for themselves in the Paradise section. See Circle Calendar. There is another big event in 1518, that is the year of World Summit, when kings from all over the world gathered in Marijoy. King Cobra from Alabasta proposed to cut open black lens bracket Heavenly Gold close black lens bracket, which was almost passed. This startled the 5 elders. Then, not long after the World Summit ended, the Revolutionary Army appeared in Alabasta. No matter how. See Circle Calendar. The overall situation of the world after 1514, such as 5 elders and the world government imagined a smooth passage. Organizational forces such as Marine, 4 Emperors, 7 Warlords of the Sea, CP, Revolutionary Army, and Hunters Guild check and balance each other. The world as a whole is peaceful. The same year, Leno attended the graduation assessment and ceremony of the first batch of Hunter students in open black lens bracket Hunter School close black lens bracket. Their graduation. It means that Hunter Guild has the ability to make blood by itself, and no longer completely relies on external recruitment. Time flies. Quickly come to the Sea Circle Calendar. May 5, 1520. East Blue. Dawn Island. A 17-year-old boy wearing a straw hat, riding a boat like Ace, goes out to sea against the wind and waves. Shanks. One day, I will be able to gather stronger partners than you and find the greatest treasure in the world. I'm going to be the Pirate King. Luffy looked out to sea. He recalled the bold words he had with Shanks when he was a child, and he was full of drive and confidence. Crash. Suddenly, the waves of the sea surge. A sea king sticks its head out of the sea. King of the sea? Luffy laughed and knocked it down with one punch. I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who's going to be One Piece. Chapter 136 Shields Town. When Luffy and Zoro meet, the plot changes. East Blue, Shields Town, inside the Marine base. Bilamibo, you're being lazy again, train me quickly, you bastard. A fist came down, hitting a boy holding his head in his arms and exclaiming, "Ah, it hurts. Go for a run, I have to run 2,000 laps today before you can stop." Yes. Bellamibo dragged his tired body and ran out. The person who shouted was a burly Marine officer, Menka, who served as the commander of the 153 Marine branch. In the original plot, Menka was Luffy's second enemy. He was once a passionate recruit, full of justice in his heart. But in an encounter, all the Marines on the warship were killed by 100 schemes, Crow, and Menka's jaw was crushed. Crow's men praised him for hypnosis, making him think he had caught Luo. He handed over the disguised Crow to Marine and became the ensign of the Marine 153 branch. At the same time, Zengo's hypnosis also changed Menka's memory and personality, gradually becoming sinister and shameless. He worked hard to become captain, the actual ruler of Branch 153 and Shields Town, brutal and tyrannical. Even though his son, Beru Meber, was doing mischief in the small town, he would sit back and watch, and even tried to build a giant statue for himself. Until being hit by Luffy. Later, during the escort of Marine, Menka slashed Garp with an axe, kidnapped Beru Meber, and used him to threaten Marine. Bellameber repented, escaped from his control, became Garp's subordinate together with Kebi, and became a new star of Marine. As a man who can slash Garp, Card is named Guan. Now, because of the appearance of Leno, the fate of Crow, Zango, Kuzan, Menka and others has undergone a shocking change. Crow and Kuzan hold important positions in the Hunters Guild. Zango, Kabaji, and Mochi followed Ace to escape from the Calm Belt, and briefly joined the Spades Pirates. It's just that they and Ace have different philosophies. The two sides had conflicts before they cooperated to escape from prison. This kind of gap exists, so it is naturally difficult to get to the end, and the two sides will soon separate. Ace headed for the peak of the New World. Zhang Gao's trio mingled in the Paradise section and formed the Acrobatic Pirates, whose whereabouts are currently unknown. Toph. Because he had led Kuzan the way, that is, after the battle between Leno and Kuzan, he had kept Kuzan in Shields Town. At that time, Menka was just a sailor guarding the gate. Encouraged by Kuzan, he worked hard to make progress, and finally took the position of commander of the branch base in 1518. Menka, who has not suffered any accidents, is still that passionate sailor, active in doing things, and is deeply loved by the townspeople and sailors. Only with his son Berumibo, he didn't deal with it very much. Because Menka realized that it would be difficult for him to move forward. He put his dream of entering naval headquarters on Berumeber. Train him like crazy every day, so that there is a crack in the relationship between father and son. Watching Berumeber continue training, Menka nodded with satisfaction, took the Marines, and started the daily routine patrol. The industrious and passionate Menka is the label attached to him after changing his destiny, as if he had changed himself. Under his rule, few pirates appeared in the waters near Shields Town, and he was praised by the commander-in-chief of the East Blue Division. Menka's creed is, no pirate is allowed to set foot on the territory of the 153 branch. He did it too. Although this is inseparable from the influence of the Hunters Guild, in East Blue, the pirates shrank in remote sea areas. But it is an undeniable fact that East Blue has the best law and order in the world. In the past 2 years, pirates attacked Hong Kong incident almost no longer heard. Colonel Menka, Commander Monkal, want an apple? The townspeople greeted warmly. Menka scratched his head humbly and said, no need. Along the way, the voice of greeting Menka was endless. Soon, he came to the Hunter Bar. The Hunter Bar is the stronghold of the Hunter Guild on various islands. The person in charge of the bar belongs to the logistics department of the Hunter Guild, and is responsible for collecting intelligence and tasks. Although they belong to the Hunter Guild, they are not necessarily hunters. A real hunter is someone who needs to pass the assessment and get a hunter license. And these people are either the bosses who are willing to join the Hunters Guild, or they have a cooperative relationship with the Hunters Guild. For example, Makino in Windmill Town belongs to the logistics department and has a cooperative relationship with the Hunter Guild. While they are protected by the Hunter Guild, they can also get commissions by participating in the guild missions. The Hunters Guild has been developing in East Blue for 9 years, with strongholds all over the islands, and everyone is used to it. There are even some Marines who hold 2 jobs. Because Menka worshipped Kuzan, he participated in the Hunter assessment in 1517 and got the E-level license. He used the Hunter Guild's intelligence channel to catch a lot of pirates before he was promoted to the commander of the base. After 3 years of missions, he was also upgraded to a C-rank pirate hunter. The Hunter Guild does not have strict management for non-management hunters, and only needs to complete the designated tasks every month. The rest of the time, very free. Menka came here, on the one hand, to see if there is a suitable task for him, and on the other hand, to exchange information. As soon as he walked to the door, he heard laughter from inside. I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will become One Piece. Pirates? One Piece? Menka was immediately excited. Which pirate would dare to speak such nonsense on his territory? Luffy? Who is he? Menka slapped open the door and looked inside. Kebi, the waiter at the bar, was staring at Xiaohui in a straw hat with an incredulous expression on his face. See, One Piece. Kebi panicked and said, this can't be mentioned on the island, Colonel Monka is the person who hates pirates the most. As soon as he finished speaking, Menka just pushed the door open and entered, staring, and said, Pirate Luffy, who is it? He held an axe in his hand, due to a change of fate. Monka's chin is not an iron chin, and his arm has not been replaced by an axe, which is 3 points similar to Bellamybo. Ah, Colonel Monka, Kebi exclaimed. The sunlight fell on Monka's body, casting shadows, covering Luffy and Kabi in the bar. Menka, who was carrying an axe, glared. Luffy turned her head, looked at him, and smiled openly. It's me, Uncle Axe, do you have anything to do with me? After Luffy leaves Windmill Town, he defeats the King of the Sea. Then it went smoothly all the way, and came here. He didn't meet Fat Alvida, because she was defeated by Nami, Nuo Kagao and Karina in the graduation examination of the first batch of Hunter School students in 1518. After being tried by the law firm, he was sent to the Atonement Camp. In fact, East Blue's current pirates are really rare. Luffy came to Shields Town and walked in after seeing the banner of the Hunters Guild. Because of Makino, Luffy is no stranger to Hunter's Bar, not as sinister as Marine Base. He came here to inquire about the powerful people in East Blue. Before going to sea, Luffy set a goal for himself. Before becoming the One Piece, he must first find a partner. At the same time, Luffy also wants to get the sea chart to the next island. That's right. When Luffy came out, he took nothing but a small boat and a bag of dry food. On Unreliable, Luffy is far less reliable than Ace. Luffy just finished introducing herself to the bar owner, but unexpectedly meets Monka, who hates pirates. Crash. Menka lifted off the marine cloak he was wearing, revealing his robust body. He looked at Luffy and said, since you say you are a pirate, then it's no problem for me to catch you. What? Luffy opened his mouth wide and widened his eyes, and said, hi, Marine. You are Marine. Kebi. Circle.operator. Oh circle.operator. How slow is this person to react now? He's Marine, can't he see it? Monka was furious. HMPH, you bastard, are you underestimating me? Luffy blinked, and quickly said, sorry, I didn't see clearly just now. Catch it. Monka swung his axe and slashed at Luffy. Suddenly, in the corner, a voice sounded. Hey, Colonel Monka, this is the Hunter's Bar. If you want to fight, go outside and fight. Menka stopped suddenly and glanced there. It was a young man with white hair. Wearing the uniform of the Hunter's Guild. There was another person opposite him, with his back to them, only green hair could be seen, but his face could not be seen clearly. Luffy also looked at them, his eyes lit up, and said, oh, you are hunters. How cool. Sokka laughed and said, is it cool? How about joining us? No, Luffy said seriously. I'm not a hunter. Hunting is so boring. I want to be a pirate and become the king of pirates. Ha ha. Sokka laughed and said, then you will suffer. The guy opposite me is a pirate hunter who specializes in hunting pirates. Huh? Really? Hey, have you talked enough yet? Menka stopped their conversation, glared at Luffy, and said, if you want to become One Piece, beat me. Why? Luffy picks his nose. Because if you can't beat me, you will be sent to Marine's prison by me, and you will never be able to leave. No, do not want. Luffy refused, and clapped his right fist to his left palm, saying, okay, then, it's decided, I'll blow you away here. Humph. Monka and Luffy came to the street outside the bar. In the bar, Sokka withdrew his gaze and said, Zoro, don't you want to make a move? Zoro said, that Monka seems to be a pirate hunter too. That guy is his prey. I will take action when he fails. Sokka shrugged and said, I heard that after Luo and the others returned to North Blue, they entered the Grand Line. When do you plan to go? Zoro asked, what about you? Sokka said, it's almost there, we've almost finished transferring East Blue, it's getting more and more boring. Okay. Zoro nodded. The street outside. The battle broke out. Monka swung his axe and slashed at Luffy aggressively. Luffy jumped away nimbly, letting the axe strike the minister. Rubber pistol. Luffy stretched his arm backwards, and then blasted forward, using the rebound force of the rubber to hit Monka's chest. It's over. Kirby was shocked. What kind of monster is this? Monka put the axe head in front of him, blocking Luffy's attack, and the huge force zone shook him back. Luffy bounced back her arm and said in surprise, Uncle, you are very strong. You know, his blow was enough to break a big tree, but it only made Menka take a step back. Monka snorted coldly, stared at Luffy, and said, evil. Is it a magic fruit ability user? Luffy grinned. Yes, I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the rubber man who ate rubber fruit. Luffy still doesn't know his fruit, the real power, only thinks it is rubber fruit, and outsiders don't know it. Rubberman. Kebi was curious, and asked, devil fruit, is it cursed by the sea? Luffy nodded innocently, and said, yes, if I encounter seawater, I will become completely weak. What? Kirby was dumbfounded. Where did you say your own weaknesses? Menka laughed loudly, and said, devil fruit? It's really unlucky for you to meet me? Menka held an axe and attacked Luffy again, with great power. Rubber shotgun. Luffy threw out his fists, kept shaking his fists, and sent out hundreds of sharp fist attacks in succession. Boom boom boom. The battle between the two sides was almost evenly matched, and the sound of explosions resounded through the streets, attracting many people to wait and see. Rubber rocket. Suddenly, with an unexpected move, Luffy hit Monka, knocking him flying and throwing him against the wall. Boom. Ka ka ka. The walls cracked, falling rubble, and a puff of smoke. What? Colonel Monka has been defeated. Everyone was surprised. Impossible. Colonel Monka. Although Luffy knocked down Monka, he didn't feel the joy of victory. Instead, he frowned and looked at himself stretching his weak arms. What? What's going on? I'm powerless. After Luffy finished speaking, it softened like a puddle of dough and fell to the ground. Opposite. The smoke cleared. Monka grabbed Luffy's arm with one hand, and grabbed the handcuffs with the other hand, blocking Luffy's wrist. Monka stood up, well, and laughed. In order to deal with demon fruit power like you, I was able to spend a lot of points to exchange for seastone handcuffs from the Hunters Guild. It's a pity that your dream of One Piece will be cut off from now on. Seastone. What is that? Luffy fell down on the ground in a daze, with a look of resignation on his face, and he slumped. Damn, I have no strength. This feeling is like soaking in seawater. Ha ha ha, I won, the Colonel is just old. I'll just say it, how could Colonel Monka lose? Long live Colonel Monka, residents of Shieldstown cheered. Monka liked the cheers from the crowd, and he waved and grabbed Luffy back to Marine Base. One Piece? You just stay here. Monka put him in an iron cage. Damn it, let me out. Luffy struggled on the ground as soft as noodles, but sea stones restrained on devil fruit made it difficult for him to adapt. Night. When Luffy was yelling, "Let me out," feebly, footsteps came suddenly. Hey, are you a pirate? Luffy turned his head, vaguely saw a boy, and said, "Oh, I'm Luffy, the man who wants to become One Piece. Do you have a boat?" "Yes, I have." Luffy nodded seriously, although it was only a small boat, it belonged to the boat, right? Then get me out of here. I can't take it anymore, damn it. Huh. But, I can't move now. Those are seastone handcuffs. I heard that they are specially used to deal with demon fruit power. I brought the key. If you are willing to take me away, I will let you out. Luffy can leave, light up, nod, and say, "Okay, let me out." The other party opened the door of the iron cage, and Luffy saw clearly that it was a boy with a double chin and yellow hair. "I'm Barumibo. I want to escape from here, escape from those annoying training." Barumibo introduced himself.